Now of La Crosse, Wisconsin, where President Trump, the arena where President Trump will be speaking in just not too long from now, in a couple minutes from now. Well, actually a little bit longer than that, but he'll be here soon. But I'm back. I'm Paul and Crosse. I'm joined by my co-host Megan over here. And we're here, of course, again in La Crosse, Wisconsin. This is a double-header day of events. President Trump is wrapping up, or just wrapped up, his event there in Michigan a little while ago, and he'll be coming here to Wisconsin not in a little bit from now. Obviously, these are two states that are key to President Trump's electoral success in 2024. This is, of course, the Rust Belt region of the country where you have many Trump supporters on the ground. The enthusiasm is really through the roof. And, you know, we say that all the time, but this stadium is packed to the rafters, Megan. Not a single empty seat in store. And this is a big stadium. I mean, we talked to a few people outside before. La Crosse isn't, you know, it's not Milwaukee. It's not the biggest city in the state of Wisconsin. But, you know, for all these people to come out here and to fill this up, at least 10,000 people, I would say.
Oh yeah, this arena is completely full, and you can even see all the way to the top rows behind the stage. The people are packed in here. We actually had to have everyone go sit in their seats to see if we had any more room to let more people in. So there are still people waiting to get in here. And it's absolutely packed. I think we should start filling NFL stadiums. What about you?
I think so, too. He definitely could do it at this pace. I mean, you know, for all the media, what they're saying about Kamala Harris and the momentum on her side, that is not true at all. You see it right here on the ground, the grassroots, just the enthusiasm among the people here in Wisconsin, really all over the Midwest that are coming out here to show their support for President Trump. And obviously, this has a rally-like atmosphere, but technically it's not a rally, it's a town hall. Right. Where the president will be sitting here a little while from now, and he has a stage set up with American flags behind us with a bunch of seats. We'll see what the format will be, whether he'll be soliciting questions, or obviously the theme is to go into jobs and economic renewal, which has obviously been a centerpiece of his campaign platform this year in 2024. But, you know, this is a guy, the president obviously is right at home with long-form type conversations, unlike Kamala Harris, who just did an interview with CNN, and they had to cut that down to like 18 minutes. They couldn't even fill up the whole half-hour-long segment because she does such a bad job when she's not on script. And even when she's on script, unless she's getting it spoon-fed to her in terms of the policies and the ideas, she short-circuits. She really does short-circuit, Megan. So it's not a pretty sight with her.
No.
Donald Trump does a really good job when he's right with the grassroots and with the American people.
Absolutely. And on that note about the economy, we need to talk about Birch Gold here. In these crazy times, there's peace of mind and security. Security for our country, security for our leaders, and security for our families. But think about this. If you have all your eggs in one basket, you're not financially secure. Gold and silver are an excellent way to diversify your savings. They're a hedge against inflation. And through my friends at Birch Gold Group, you can own physical gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. This one thing you can do today to secure your family's savings. Text the word Trump to 989898 and receive a free info kit on gold. Plus, in August only, on any purchase you make, the Birch Gold Group is giving away free Trump silver coins. This brand new one-of-a-kind silver coin features Trump boldly raising his fist in moments after the attempt on his life. That's an iconic photo. You don't want to miss your chance to own this special piece of history, a celebration of a leader dedicated to our security, preserved in the security of a precious metal coin. So secure your savings today and get your free Trump silver coins. Text the word Trump to 989898 today, and that's Trump to the number 989898.
Amazing. I mean, the atmosphere in here, incredible, high energy, electric. These people are very excited, many of whom we talked to online before, Megan. This is like their first Trump event. This is the first time that they're seeing President Trump in person. So it's going to be a great event for so many of these people here from Wisconsin. Obviously, they understand the importance and the stakes of this election as well as anyone. And, the emphasis on the economy in a state like Wisconsin that has been decimated by the globalists and the Uni Party and the ruling class in Washington, D.C. over decades and decades and decades, outsourcing our jobs, outsourcing our automobile industry to places like Mexico and China and India and all these other places. These people felt those effects firsthand, and they've seen the damage to their communities. So for President Trump to come in here, traditional union town, white-collar, blue-collar, working-class town, and to appeal across the aisle, making these outreach efforts to traditional Democratic voters, I think is a big move for him. And it just shows how much he's expanding the base, and he's basically now the party of unity. He's unifying our country. He really is unifying the country and taking people who are traditional, disenchanted Democrats, independents, moderates, conservatives, liberals, and bringing them on to the MAGA train, which is the party of common sense. And you see it with the economic policy breakdown. Compare President Trump with Kamala Harris. He's for lowering taxes. He's not going to be imposing price controls, which is something that Kamala Harris has entertained on the campaign trail. Her policies have been very light, to be sure. I mean, she has not gone into specifics, and she's unable to go into specifics about what her plans are for the country, other than being for open borders. And, I saw earlier before Elon Musk dug up an old tweet that she posted from 2017 saying no illegal alien or no undocumented migrant has committed a crime. It's not a crime to cross the border illegally, which is totally absurd, totally ridiculous. But President Trump obviously pro bringing jobs back to this country, reducing taxes. He's going to close our border, bring manufacturing back. He talks so much about rebuilding our national economy, physically actually rebuilding our cities that have fallen into the wayside by Democratic hands.
Right. But, here in the Midwest, I feel that the traditional Democrats that were union workers, in the manufacturing industry, they were the party of the blue-collar Americans. Back in the day, they were Democrats, but I feel that now that the left has gone so far radical left that they've really abandoned those voters, and now they're seeking a haven over here with the Republicans. And you're absolutely right. Donald Trump is bringing all the people together from left, right, and center. The radical leftists can stay over there. Like the communists, we're not going to get on board with them. They're not going to get on board with us. But as far as everybody else, Donald Trump is really bringing everyone together. And that's important here in the Midwest.
It's really important. People are frustrated just how radical the direction of the country has gone over the past 4 years. You look at this latest indictment by Jack Smith, which is really the old indictment. He took off a few counts and tried to refashion it for President Trump in light of the recent Supreme Court decision that found that President Trump and all presidents are immune of official acts conducted while in office. Of course, President Trump never committed any crime, whether it falls under official or unofficial, however you want to parse that legal distinction. But the fact that Smith has now tried to lodge this separate indictment against President Trump, in addition to what we know is going on in, of course, Fani Willis's office in Georgia and Judge Merchan in New York City. I mean, the lawfare has already been at an unprecedented level. We've never seen the weaponization of the Justice Department against the leading candidate to become the next president of the United States. We've never seen that in the country before. But for them to be doing it now, 2.5 months, less than 60 or so days until Election Day, less than 30 days in certain states like Virginia, where they're going to begin early voting, in other states as well. New Jersey and a few other states are already beginning early voting in less than 30 days. So the fact that they're coming out now with all these indictments screams election interference to me. I'm sure it does to you and so many other people.
Oh yeah, I mean, they've been attacking him since day one, basically since he said he was going to run back in 2015, 2016, that era, all the way up until now. I mean, even when Biden was in office, they still were attacking Trump on the media. Like, the mainstream media is obsessed with him, and the Democrats will stop at nothing to keep attacking him no matter what they do. They've attacked his character, they've attacked his businesses, they have attacked him legally. tried to take his life, and now they're back doing it legally again. I mean, they're not going to give up. And even when Donald Trump wins, I don't think they're going to give up then either.
I know. Well, the hope is obviously that he'll get in, and once he gets in, we say when, not if. When he gets in.
When he gets in.
When he gets in, he'll be able to clean up a lot of the corruption that has permeated so much of our deep state, the administrative agencies, the intelligence agencies, and perhaps most acute of all of that is the Department of Justice under Merrick Garland, which, I don't know. I mean, it blows my mind to see this as an attorney and just speaking to so many other lawyers. Doesn't matter if they're Democrat, Republican. You know, Alan Dershowitz is a lifelong Democrat, and he says he's never seen anything like this in our country before. This is unheard of, to see them weaponize justice against the President of the United States, who's really hasn't done anything other than he wants to make America great again. He wants to bring prosperity and jobs back to this country. He cares about this country. He cares about preserving our fundamental rights and freedoms, our right to speak, our right to assemble, our Second Amendment right to bear arms. That's really all it's about. It's about preserving our constitutional republic and going back to the common sense policies, the normal, basically back to normalcy. That's what he wants for this country. And all that is good, all that is normal, and all that is based in common sense. All that has gone out the window under Biden and Harris. And the two of them, you know, we've said this before, they're two peas in the pod. Harris's agenda is the same as Joe Biden. Joe Biden is Kamala Harris. The only difference is maybe Kamala Harris is more of a true believer, so to speak, of the woke agenda, of the communist agenda. They call her Comrade Kamala for a reason. She's a true card-carrying communist, unlike Joe Biden, who pretends to be one, who's all battered down and basically one foot in the nursing home.
Right. Yeah, Kamala, I mean, I check her website every day for her platform. I'm like, what are you campaigning on? And then they don't have anything on there still. All they have is information on how to volunteer or donate, and then information about her and Waltz. So they don't have anything on their platform laid out like President Trump does on donaldjtrump.com. He has all 20 points laid out. Then you can click over to a PDF and really see the breakdown of what he's going to do and how he's going to accomplish all of his pieces of his agenda. So it just is so much more transparency on the Republican side versus the Democrat side. And I mean, they don't want to admit that they're basically implementing communism, so they have to cover it up. But if you really pay attention, they do leak it out sometimes. They do start sprinkling in what they want to do.
They do.
Chuck Schumer mentioned getting rid of the filibuster, so you don't have to pass the 60 vote threshold in the Senate, which would allow them to implement all of their radical bills, which is just really scary.
It is.
And then, I mean, they want to have huge tax hikes as far as the inheritance tax. They want to raise from 20% to 40%. They want the unrealized gains tax on housing. I mean,
which doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't.
You raise unrealized capital gains. You're basically punishing hardworking Americans for saving money.
Exactly.
And if they don't liquidate their assets, if they don't liquidate their portfolio, they're going to be taxed into oblivion. It's truly radical. It's actually evil. It really is evil.
The whole point of buying real estate, right, was to have an asset and invest in it. And then as soon as you invest in it and you're like, oh, wow, my appraisal went up. Now my house is worth more. But now you have to pay the extra taxes on that. It's just ridiculous whether you sell it or not.
It is ridiculous. And on the note of taxes, while we're speaking of taxes, another word from our sponsors, the Tax Network USA. For all those who are struggling with back taxes or unfiled returns, the IRS is escalating collections, adding 20,000 new agents and sending over 5 million new people tax collection letters to kick off 2024. And these challenging times, your best defense is Tax Network USA. Don't let the IRS, don't let Joe Biden's IRS take advantage of you. With over 14 years of experience, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion. That's billion with a B in back taxes. No matter the size of your tax issue, their expertise is your advantage. They specialize in negotiating with the IRS, aiming to significantly reduce your debt. Tax Network USA doesn't just negotiate, they also protect your assets with IRS seizures, and manage your yearly returns for ongoing compliance, which is so important. Importantly, They are licensed to help with all state tax issues regardless of where you live. So all 50 states, they're licensed to help you out in your tax needs. The clock is ticking. Don't wait as IRS steps up its game. Seize control now of your financial future. Contact Tax Network USA for immediate relief and expert guidance. That's 1-800-357-1415 or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. Don't let tax issues overpower you. Turn to Tax Network USA and find your path to financial peace of mind today. But you know, you're going to need more professionals like this.
I know.
If you have Kamala Harris back in charge, because listen, as you said, 40% off. What did you say?
The inheritance tax. It was 20, and they want it up to 40.
Which is incredible.
It's already been taxed.
Capital gains to oblivion. She claims now she wants no tax on tips. In reality, that policy she stole and plagiarized from Donald Trump. She'll never implement that. Listen, your taxes and everything else will get much worse under her as compared to Donald Trump. So just to your point, Megan, you're 100% correct with that.
Yeah. And they hired all these extra thousands of IRS agents to come and audit or stalk everybody.
And they arm them. They arm them too. People forget about that.
Yeah.
So what does that say?
So she's really looking out for us as far as taxes go, and she's really going to help the housing industry with that unrealized capital gains tax on your houses.
Right, exactly. And of course, with her as well, fiscal policy, she's going to be spending like crazy. I mean, the thing about the Democrats is they spend money, they just throw money at everything. There's an old tweet from President Trump that came back from like 10 years ago. When he said, I sure hope UFOs don't visit the United States, because if we discover aliens, first thing the United States government will do is start throwing money at them, which is true. You know, you talked to the Ukrainian friend before outside who visited Ukraine. The amount of money that we've dropped on Ukraine, over $200 billion, more than that, over the past 4 years for a losing effort.
Yeah.
You compare that to Afghanistan and Iraq. Washington spends money and it creates inflation at home. It hurts the American consumer, regular American citizens, and the world somehow is worse off than it was if we had not spent anything in the first place.
Yeah.
So how's that figure? People don't know how to spend money. They can't do it in a fiscally responsible way, and President Trump will bring all of that back to Washington, D.C. when he's elected in a couple months from now.
Yeah, I mean, the career politicians have never done anything in business, so they have no idea how it works, how to balance everything, and to save when they can, make things run more efficiently. They never had to do that. So with our government, I mean, when people say government money, it's taxpayer funded. Like, we are paying that money.
Absolutely.
It doesn't come out of thin air. The government doesn't make money. They just take money from us.
Exactly.
So don't look at it as, oh, the government's spending money. Like, they're spending our money on that. They're wasting it all the time.
They waste it. So they spend our money, and then they print money that they don't have. That creates us more in debt to countries like China, who buy U.S. bonds, and we become more indebted to them. And as a result, in order to stop all this, since it's over Kamala Harris's head, she doesn't understand the economy at all.
No.
She never built a business.
Right.
For her, she proposes price controls to stop the effects of inflation.
Right.
So what does that do? If you look at all of history, if you look at Venezuela, if you look at Weimar Germany, implementing price controls to stop inflation leads to hyperinflation, and then you're going to have something like the Great Depression, if not even worse than that. So it's going to put a lot of people out of jobs, rationing, and you're going to get food shortages, and already our supply chains are very, very weak as a result of this Biden economy. Bidenomics, Kamalanomics has brought this economy to near ruin. We're not in a good shape. We're basically in a recession. If you look at the metrics, you look at employment, you look at growth, our growth has stagnated. We've become very, very slow growing as an economy, if not negative growth, and all that just speaks to how poor the economy is under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Yeah, it was pretty jarring when I heard that she wanted to implement price controls to combat inflation. Right. I mean, they're causing the inflation. That's what they do. It's the broken leg fallacy, right?
Exactly.
We're going to break your leg, and then we're also going to give you the solution to fix it. But it's a never-ending cycle. So for them to implement price controls, it's going to lead to communism. It's going to lead to rationing. it's going to lead to bad quality products. It's just going to be a mess, and it's scary. And anyone you talk to that's escaped a communist country and seen how that affects their economy in the communist countries, and then they come to America and they see it here, and they're running around telling everybody, like, red alert. And Americans who have never experienced anything like this or had not studied history, they're just like oblivious to it. So we're trying to get the word out. You need to study this, study history.
We got to spread the word. We got to study history. The other thing about it too is Kamala Harris, just like this past week again, said that she's going to build like 3 million. She'll build housing for 3 million new people. Meanwhile, they have no place to put these illegal aliens. The only jobs that she's created has been for illegal aliens. They're putting them in like once 5-star hotels like the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City, stacking these hotels with illegal migrants. She claims she's going to build houses. She can't build houses. She doesn't know how to build anything. She can't even probably make herself a cup of coffee in the morning. The bottom line is, if she were to try to build houses, they would first of all probably be for the illegals, but secondly, she'd use cheap imported Chinese products. You spoke about quality. Megan, you're in housing. You know good quality from bad quality. I mean, do you think Kamala Harris, she has no capacity to build housing for Americans or to, reignite our housing markets where Americans can't even get out a mortgage because prices are so high, insurance rates are so high? What do you think of all that?
I mean, I don't think she has any background in real estate at all. She has no background in building or construction or the labor that goes into it. I mean, there's so much that goes into building any kind of real estate. She has nothing to do with that, so she would probably just end up wasting a lot of money, like we were saying before. She doesn't know how to do it in a quality way or an efficient way, and I think that it would just turn into some big government. It would just be like a messy plan, and I think it'd be a waste of money too.
They'll put graffiti on it. It'll be rioted. Her houses, if she ever put anything up, she'd have BLM and Antifa spray painted, and it'll look ugly and just cause more eyesores and not a lot of good things. Make our country even uglier than it already is in a lot of these major cities. So, it's incredible. Donald Trump is the only real builder. Also, the other thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of building. We're at the border. Donald Trump was at the border a little while ago, about a week or two ago, and he compared his border wall to, I don't even know if you could call it a wall, her fence.
Yeah.
Like it's a half-built Kamala fence. She's obviously all for illegals coming into the country. Donald Trump's wall is like 30 feet high. You can't get through that, even if you tried. It just goes against his building skills and his ability to seal off our borders and do what's best for the American people.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of how she said something about the border wall that she was going to build, and then when it comes down to it, it's like a little dinky fence. Yeah. That's probably what would happen with this housing project that she's talking about. She'd talk about how great the housing project's going to be, but then it would be empty promises, and then when you actually see it, it would probably be a disaster.
It would be a disaster. The only time they want fences and walls is around their homes. Crazy,
and at the DNC.
Crazy Chuck and Crazy Nancy, both of them want their houses to be secure and safe from illegals and crime. But for the American citizen, they couldn't care less. They say screw the American citizen. This crowd is wild. I mean, they are so excited to see President Trump. But again, the Democrats are the biggest hypocrites in the book, and again, as you said, they've never held a proper job in their life. They've never owned a business. They've never built up a successful business. They can't do anything on their own. They can't manufacture. They don't know good quality products if it hit them in the face.
Right. And I also want to point out how enthusiastic everyone is here.
Yeah.
I mean,
going back to this crowd over here, this is like crazy.
I've never been to any town halls from any past Republicans, but I can only imagine how different it would feel those versus this one.
You hear the words town hall, and for any other politician, it's like, oh, this must be boring.
Yeah,
President Trump, this is a party atmosphere.
Yeah, it is.
It's electric in here. I caught some video. We'll post it on Twitter later. By the way, at Paul and Grassi on Twitter. Megan, I don't know
Megan
if you
B. Kohler.
Yeah, but we'll post that video. Electric atmosphere.
Yeah, I can only imagine how it was in years past with like Mitt Romney or McCain or whoever else was running for the Republicans. How dry a town hall might have been.
Very dry for sure.
Versus this, I mean, every event I've been to for Trump feels like a rally, even if it's not a rally.
Yeah.
And people were dying to get in here. I mean, there was a crowd wrapped around outside. We all had to come to our seats to make sure there were seats open to see if they could allow more people to come in. And do you think the Democrats have anything like that going on?
I mean, I've never seen that before. Probably thousands of people are waiting outside. This arena holds about maybe 10, 15,000 people.
Yeah.
Not
all the way
a
to the
single
top.
empty seat.
Top rows are full.
Literally all the way to the top. You have people with their backs pushed up against the wall behind our camera over here. Incredible sight to behold.
They're starting the wave.
We're starting the
wave at a town hall.
It's like a sports arena. It's like a sport atmosphere. This
Literally.
is like a playoff game or like a concert.
The wave.
And again, you don't need any celebrities. You don't need Taylor Swift. You don't need Beyonce.
You don't need Beyonce.
You just need the biggest and greatest entertainer and president of all time, Donald John Trump.
Exactly. We don't need to bribe anyone with fake concerts or anything like that. I remember Hillary Clinton had a Jay-Z concert back in the day to try to get people to come to Cleveland. And then now at the DNC, they're pretending that Taylor Swift and Beyonce are going to come, and then they didn't, obviously, but they were trying to get people in the door. We don't need that here.
We don't need that. We don't need the gimmicks.
No gimmicks.
They do a lot of gimmicks. You have Tim Walz doing his dance on stage, looking like a real pathetic loser. I mean, that guy's a clown.
Yeah.
Talking to a lot of people. I mean, Minnesota is right next to Wisconsin. A lot of people kind of drove in from Minnesota, and they're like, this guy's a radical, true radical communist.
Yeah.
And he's radical, he's also very incompetent. You can see by the way he acts on stage, he acts like a child. I mean, actually, that's an insult to children. Most children don't act the way Tim Walz acts on stage. To have that guy even anywhere close to the White House would be a true national disgrace. And Americans see right through it. They see right through the BS. They know this guy is crazy. They know she needs to lean on him. She's like the comfort puppy, or he is the comfort dog for him. These people are crazy. This is amazing. This is so
fun. Wait, that was a good point about Tim Walz, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I thought it was really interesting that was the pick, because I really thought the Democrats were going to try to play the middle again, but they really didn't. They went really far left, radical with Tim Walz. And I thought it was really funny at the DNC that CNN admitted that with Tim Walz, they are targeting low testosterone men.
Let's put it on pause for a second. They are chanting USA. Look at it. Sometimes you gotta just pause and just like bask in the atmosphere of the Trump rally.
This is a self-pep rally. Like, no one's leading this. They're just doing it themselves.
And obviously, I want to go back to that point about Tim Walz before we forget.
It was funny.
These rallies are historic. They're iconic in every way possible. Obviously, we want President Trump to win on November 5th. Obviously, the country needs him to win on November 5th. But these rallies, this is like the final stretch of the Trump campaign rally. It's kind of bittersweet in certain ways. It's almost, it's sad in a certain way, because
take it all in. Just take it all in.
You got to really take it all in.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are watching at home, thank you so much for tuning in to RSBN all day long. We'll try to give you the best coverage right from the floor. To give you a sense of how it feels inside this stadium. This is a stadium.
It's electric.
For those of you who can't be here, who are just watching on your TV or computer. But go back to the Tim Walz point. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I thought it was really funny that CNN, actually, one of the anchors admitted that they said something about how the Democrat men are like low testosterone compared to the Republican men, and I thought that was really funny, and that Tim Walz was a representation of that.
He is. He is the embodiment of low testosterone. There's a reason why we're allowed to say it on this network, Tampon Tim. That's the nickname, because he wants tampon. That's his claim to fame. That's his only policy we've heard from that guy. Tampons in men's bathrooms.
Which is such a pressing issue. Isn't that a pressing issue in America?
According in his head, it clearly is.
I think so.
But it's crazy. It just shows, you said far left with Kamala Harris and even further left with him. Horrible things going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had any more to add to that, but It's just crazy. It's
what
crazy.
do you think about the men on the right versus the men on the left?
Well, one thing about Tim Walz is he also, another thing that I know about him, with the Italian American Civil Rights League, which was Italian American community endorsing President Trump, he's been one of the greatest advocates Tim Walz has for tearing down the statues of Christopher Columbus,
Oh, yes.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson.
Disgrace.
So he's waged a war on our national heritage and national culture. Obviously, these are our heroes. These are the great leaders who built our country.
Right.
And we're, all of us are in their shadows. These are great men of Western history. And for someone like Tim Walz, who obviously is animated and driven by envy and resentment, he sees a figure like Christopher Columbus or George Washington, and he looks at that psychologically. He knows, I could never be that guy. I could never be on that level. I can't even hold a candle to this guy.
Right.
So he sees that, and obviously when there's a call by the Antifa or BLM to tear it down, he's like 100% on board for doing that. 100%. So it makes sense, but that kind of also answers your question as well. These are not strong people. They're not, both men and women on that side. And that's why people are waking up. Real Americans, you go outside, the yard signs, bumper stickers. I mean, you can't see a Kamala Harris yard sign in sight.
Once in a blue moon. Literally in a blue moon. And now, because election's coming up, I do see a little bit. But before that, never.
But it's like Nancy Pelosi's house or Merrick Garland's house. Like someone in government, not like regular American people all over the place are Trump supporters. So,
Yeah,
it
the
just shows that the
enthusiasm.
enthusiasm, there's a huge enthusiasm gap between President Trump and the MAGA movement and Kamala Harris, who most Americans don't even know. She can't even answer questions to the media.
Yeah.
They shield her and shelter her from, asking questions from the mainstream media, and they protect her. So, the big debate between the two of them next month, a couple of days actually, less than 2 weeks now, September 10th. So that'll be, it's on enemy territory, so to speak, with the mainstream network. It's not on, it's not on our network. It's not on Real America's Voice or one of those other networks. But having said that, I think President Trump is going to do really well in terms of exposing her and exposing her record to the American people. How do you think that whole debate will go now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think she's been scared to debate him this whole time because she doesn't stand upon like a firm foundation of anything of a platform, or like, what is she campaigning on? She has nothing that's solid. Like, she will say something and then take it back. Like when she talked about price controls, and then everyone like freaked out and she took it back.
Exactly.
So she doesn't have a firm foundation of what she really believes in or stands upon or what she's going to campaign for. So I think she's just going to be so shaky in the debate, and that's why she's so scared to do it. She wants notes. She wants Tim there. She's nervous. She wants the questions ahead of time. She's shaking in her boots, obviously, because she knows President Trump's going to run circles around her.
Exactly. And listen, she tried doing a CNN, I guess, like interview / town hall, and they had to cut it down to 18 minutes. It was an unmitigated disaster for her. She was probably spoon-fed the questions like Hillary Clinton was spoon-fed those questions from Donna Brazile back in 2016.
I remember.
But even that, she can't do it. She can't answer questions. She's unable to do it. So she speaks in rhyme. She speaks like very circular, and she doesn't make sense. It's word salad.
Right.
They call it word salad. That's how she speaks. So, you put her up in a head-to-head matchup against President Trump, and I don't think it's going to be pretty good for her at all.
It reminds me of when I was in college and you had to hit a certain word count on the paper.
Yeah.
That's how she speaks, just like in circles. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I think she really just relies on her notes or the teleprompter or practicing ahead of time. It's all so scripted, but she doesn't really know or believe or stand upon this stuff. That's why she can't just do it off the cuff.
She has zero convictions.
Exactly.
Zero convictions whatsoever. And you can't win. You can't win an election if you stand on nothing and you sell yourself out to everybody and everything. And that is Kamala Harris in a nutshell.
Yep.
I think we have another word from our sponsor over here. We go over here.
There's nothing more important than your health, so let's talk about it. America, listen up. The world is getting more unpredictable by the day. We've got assassination attempts, rumors of civil war, an unstable stock market, and now the looming threat of the bird flu is on everyone's mind. Did you know there's a bird flu summit coming in October? It's eerily reminiscent of Event 201 that foreshadowed the COVID-19 pandemic. And get this, the first topic on the agenda is mass fatality management planning. That's creepy. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what will. But here's the good news. You don't have to be scared if you're prepared. The wellness company created the Contagion Emergency Kit. And every home in America should have at least one of these kits. They're packed with life-saving meds like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics like a Z-Pack, and it's all backed by experts like Dr. Peta Mercalo. Imagine this, no more frantic searches for a doctor, no more emergency waiting rooms. Just a few clicks and this kit's delivered to your door. In times like these, having your Contagion Emergency Kit is not just a luxury, it's actually a necessity. And protect your family by preparing right now. Go to twc.health/RSBN. That's twc.health/RSBN and grab your Contagion Emergency Kit right now. twc.health/RSBN is the website, and use the code RSBN to save $45 at checkout. And kits are only available in the USA, by the way. And nothing's more important than your health, so make sure you take care of it.
Absolutely. And, you know, we hear about health a lot. Robert Kennedy made part of his platform, or he's now saying make America healthy again. And obviously, so much news about that endorsement over the past week, Megan. Between him and Tulsi Gabbard, two former Democrats. Actually, Tulsi Gabbard was the one who many claim destroyed Kamala Harris during that 2020 Democratic primary on that debate stage. She was the one who knocked her out, and Kamala couldn't get above single digits in that 2020 primary, if you recall, and I'm sure many of our audience recalls as well. So to have her, she was a progressive Democrat. She was a Bernie Sanders congressperson and politician. So to have someone like her, and to also have someone like Robert Kennedy, and obviously the Kennedy name is political royalty in the Democratic Party. You talk about the Clintons, you talk about Obama, Biden. Kennedy is like, up there with number one in terms of American, historic American Democratic political family. So to have him cross the aisle, the son of Robert Kennedy, the namesake for, one of America's finest politicians who never got to realize his dreams, and of course, John F. Kennedy being his uncle, to have that support Donald Trump just goes to show, one, how radical the Democratic Party has shifted over the past 60 years, really over the past 10, 20 years. And number two, how President Trump really represents everything that's traditionally American. He represents the last best hope for our great country, for our republic, and for our Constitution. Kamala Harris sells herself out to the world, sells herself out to China, Ukraine, whatever it might be. She's looking out for globalist interests. She's not putting America first and Americans first, and she really couldn't care less about the average American person. So such a stark contrast, and it was kind of a roundabout way of talks about health. Robert Kennedy's support behind President Trump, huge momentum builder. Or huge game changer for President Trump.
Huge game changer. I mean, Kennedy's never endorsed a Republican before. And so that alone right there is historic.
You have to go back to maybe the father, Joe Kennedy Sr., endorsing like Calvin Coolidge in the...
There you go.
Or Herbert Hoover in the 30s. So it's a long time for sure.
A long time ago.
It's almost 100 years.
Yeah, so I was really excited about the RFK endorsement, especially because I'm such a health nut, and I know that he is too. He wants to investigate the FDA, the CDC, and all these big corporations that are in cahoots with each other to make profits off of Americans being sick. And I always thought to myself, if we were all healthy and our mental illnesses were gone, chronic illness gone, imagine how much of a powerhouse we could be in America if all Americans were actually healthy too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and chronic illness has run rampant in this country, and that's why RFK really wants to investigate this, because there's toxins in the food, pesticides, genetically modified food. Everything should be organic. Why is it that when you go to Europe, you can eat a whole pizza and you don't have a stomach ache, and then you have one slice in America and you have a stomach ache? Like, what is this?
I know. I mean, you hear about chronic illness all the time. Obviously, you hear about the obesity rates. I mean, over 70% of the country is overweight, and I think close to a majority now is obese. That shouldn't be. That has a lot to do with the chemicals and preservatives that they put in the food products these days. A lot of garbage that they feed, especially American school children, people in public schools, people with lower income and lower financial means. You know, they're not getting the best nutrition. And it's really bad if you have children under the age of 18, minors, taking in, ingesting bad food. I mean, it has lifelong effects. I mean, I think RFK Jr. talked about how now 1 in 3 Americans have fatty liver disease. And that's something that was unheard of 50 years ago.
Right.
And that goes again to the food, the type of food we're eating now, and all the preservatives and stuff we're eating.
I mean, fatty liver disease as a result of all the toxins and the preservatives and the seed oils and all the garbage in the food, because your liver is what filters that out.
Right.
So I can only imagine how many people have an issue with their liver in America, especially with drinking on top of it too. I mean, alcohol's fun, obviously. But the thing about RFK is he also speaks out against seed oils. And seed oils are canola oil, soybean oil. There's like 8 of them, so you could look that up. But seed oils are highly inflammatory to the body, and they're subsidized by the government. Because I always wondered, why don't packaged foods use olive oil or coconut oil or ghee or butter or beef tallow, something like that? But it's subsidized by the government, so it makes it cheaper to make these processed foods with the seed oils in it.
Exactly.
And the seed oils cause such inflammatory responses in the body and obesity. And if we just cut the seed oils right there, that will be a night and day difference.
And it's not only, it's all those issues, and that's so true. That's an excellent point, Megan. But also among men, I think it's been linked to lower testosterone, lower vitality among men. And you're seeing like birth rates plummet, especially across Western countries. The United States is below replacement level in terms of birth rates, which means a generation from now, you're not going to have a population unless you get those birth rates out. And the goal, in order to resolve that, in Kamala's view, has been just to import tens and 20 and 30, 40 million illegals to cross the southern border. And then not only that, they prioritize them, give them social security cards, give them driver's licenses. In states like New York and other deep blue states like California, there are strong pushes to put them on voter rolls and to get them to vote in local and county and state elections. And if they start there, they're going to obviously be in federal elections, you know, soon, maybe even this year. There's obviously a real concern that illegal aliens and other ineligible voters, out-of-state residents and other ineligible voters, deceased voters, will appear on voter rolls. So that's a major problem, and that's something that hopefully more Americans are waking up to, and more courts are waking up to, more conservative judges are waking up to, because the evidence for it is undeniable. It's staggering. It's overwhelming that illegals are here. They're infiltrating voter rolls, especially in states like Pennsylvania with the Democrat governor shielding that information from the public with Josh Shapiro. So that remains a problem, but luckily we have a lot of people on the ground waking up and fighting it and making sure our elections are secure. But obviously there's more room to get involved, and I don't know if you want to talk about that, how our audience could potentially get involved. I know I made a lot of points here, so there might be more that you want to say, but...
Okay, I'll talk about this, and then I'll go back to a few points that you said. So there's a website called protectthevote.com. Please go to that website. You can either type it in, or you can go to donaldjtrump.com, go to the tab, and then go to the part that says Protect the Vote. There's a tab there that says that. It takes you to the website, too. But there are critical states listed on this website that are really susceptible to voter fraud. So please, if you are able to, sign up to be a poll watcher, volunteer to be a poll watcher, and make sure that they're not cheating. We need to keep a close eye on all of these voting poll stations, because I know that the American people are all going to vote for Donald Trump. I know there's going to be a huge wave. Make sure you still go out and vote.
Especially a place like Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. So make sure you go out and vote. Tell all your friends and family to vote early if you can. But we need to keep a close eye to make sure that we mitigate the cheating, because you know that the Democrats are going to fight tooth and nail, and they're going to be in there trying to cheat. So please sign up to be a poll watcher, and that website is protectthevote.com.
Also, if you're a lawyer, even if you're not barred in a state like Pennsylvania, you're an out-of-state lawyer. Obviously, the key states are Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, all of the key battleground states. But, you know, if you're barred in those states and you're able to help out and give some of your time, go same website. You could sign up for that, but also if you're not, there's still opportunities to get involved. You could either do phone banking or whatever it might be. There's a need for obviously attorneys and people to look over the election sites in general. So go to that website for that as well if you're an attorney or you know an attorney. And the other thing also I want to add before we go back is vote early. There's early voting beginning in some states less than 30 days from now. So make sure you get your vote in. That way the RNC has your vote all counted and tabulated, and they know it's secure and in the system. And then once you get your vote in, you get your friends, your family, your spouse, your wife, your husband, your children, your nephew, nieces, get all those people, make sure they're registered and they vote. And once they get their votes in, then you get your friends and all other people as well. But that's why it's so important as well, too. By the time Trump gets in there, we'll have voter ID, same-day voting, paper ballots, and citizen verification.
Finally.
But until we get to that point, we got to play by the rules as we have them, as they're advised by liberals and Democrats and people who don't want to change the system. So that means we have to get in and get our vote locked in early this cycle to make sure we get President Trump back in the White House.
Absolutely. And that website, one more time, is protectthevote.com. So I want to bring it back to something that you said. That was a really great connection you made with the low birth rates for Americans and infertility. And I remember Donald Trump mentioned this when RFK came to endorse him. He mentioned how big of an issue infertility is. And if you know anyone who's had that problem, it is a big issue in America, and it's rising. People didn't used to have such issues having children as they are now, and it's definitely linked to the unhealthy lifestyle that Americans have, all the toxins in the food, toxins in the water, heavy metals inundating us through all different ways, vaccines, water, the food, cosmetics. It's bad. So that's all playing into the infertility and the low birth rates.
Right. And mental health, too.
And mental health,
I mean, you have so many people now depressed, really on the left, not on the right. They're all happy here.
We're happy over here.
Democrat, the Kamala rally, everyone's on some sort of
meds,
psychiatric meds or whatever it might be. They're depressed, they're unhappy, and so much of the relief to depression is just natural, good quality food, high quality food, going outside, not spending all your day behind a screen or behind a TV, not being demoralized by the mainstream media, eating healthy, staying in shape, and interacting with people in person. It's really basic.
Yeah.
It's going back to the basics.
Exactly.
And really, a lot of our problems in this country could be resolved by simple common sense, going back to the basics, and that's really all President Trump stands for in a nutshell.
Yeah.
He's just returning to the basics.
And he said that.
More great points to make.
Yeah, he said that. When RFK was in Arizona endorsing him, President Trump said he was going to put RFK and other industry experts in charge of investigating our food system, because it is so hard to find good quality food these days, especially with all the factory farming, all the animals are sick. That's why they have to pump them with all the meds, and then they have to pasteurize the milk at such a high heat level, and then it kills all the good enzymes. I could go on about this for days, but the best thing you can do now is go to a local farm, try to find pasture-raised, organic, good quality food. That's what's going to be great for your health. And also about the population, I didn't even make this connection until you said it. Our birth rate's going down as Americans, but then the Democrats are importing the illegal immigrants into America, so they're really replacing us with the people from other countries illegally, and then getting them to vote. So that's something that they've had on their playbook forever. I mean, Dinesh D'Souza made a movie called Hillary's America. Did you see that?
Yes.
So they laid it out right there, how the Democrats have been doing this forever. It's the same exact playbook. They just plug and play into a different day and age, and that's what they're doing again in another way.
Absolutely. It is the same exact playbook. And really, you look through history, look at the fall of the Roman Empire. How did they collapse? It wasn't through outside invasion. I mean, Rome was the strongest empire, arguably, in history. I mean, next to the United States, number 1 and 2. You could do the ranking there, but they fell, they collapsed from becoming decadent and importing so many foreign languages, cultures, and not giving them enough time to assimilate. Trump is fine for legal immigration. We need people, we need high-skilled laborers, intelligent people, high IQ people, but those are types of people who could assimilate. When you're importing the third world, and most of these people are military-aged men, drug traffickers, human traffickers. I mean, you got the human trafficking crisis to a level that you've never seen in history before. I mean, it's amazing to even think about this. This is almost like medieval that you're talking about human trafficking, but it's gotten to a point that it's become a real global crisis, and especially in the United States. And all that could be resolved by just closing the border and not importing a bunch of illegals into the country, because so many of these illegals are bringing in sex trafficking, children, narcotics, the cartels. It's not a pretty picture.
And there's other countries that are bordering where they live that are closer to their culture. That's a good point, that they're not assimilated with us because it's such a culture shock to them. Like, America's very different than from where they live.
And most of them are criminals, so they're not assimilating to any Latin American or South American countries either. And a lot of them also coming from war-riven places like Yemen, Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan. Are you getting members of ISIS?
Syrian refugees.
I
remember that
as
thing,
well.
the Syrian refugee thing.
On that note, though, obviously these are crazy times, and that just goes to show how crazy these times are. Peace of mind is in security, and having financial security and stability over your own well-being and your own wealth. Security for our country, security for our leaders, and security for our families. All important things. But I want you to think about this. If you have all your eggs in one basket, you are not going to be financially secure. It's just not possible. Especially if you have all your money in cash. Inflation is eroding the value of the dollar each day. So you got to diversify in order to stave off the effects of Bidenomics and Kamalanomics and inflation. Gold and silver are an excellent way to diversify your savings. They're a hedge against inflation, number one. And through my friends at Birch Gold Group, you can own physical gold and silver in tax-sheltered retirement account. This is one thing you can do today, starting today, to secure your family savings. To do so, it's easy. Text the word Trump, T-R-U-M-P, to 989898 and receive a free info kit on gold today. Plus, in August only, this is, August ends in two days from now, so be quick on this. On any purchase you make, Birch Gold is giving away free Trump silver coins. This brand new one-of-a-kind silver coin features Trump boldly raising his fist in the moments after the attempt on his life. And we all know the moment. It's seared into our memories. Get that silver coin today. You don't want to miss your chance to own this special piece of history, a celebration of a leader dedicated to our security, preserved in the security of a precious metals coin. Text Trump to 989898 today. That's T-R-U-M-P to our friends at Birch Gold, 989898. Great product, great service, and that's the way to secure your financial well-being and wealth. Gold and silver, that's the way to do it. It's been around since the beginning of time.
It has, yeah,
I'm sure it'll
metals.
be around for many millennia more, as long as there are people trading in currency and money.
Yeah, can't go wrong with precious metals, that's for sure.
That's for sure. So, listen, it's almost 6 o'clock now. President Trump, he was a little delayed in Michigan, so it's probably going to be a little longer. He was originally scheduled 6 o'clock our time, 7 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah.
So it might be a little longer before he comes on, but he'll be coming on shortly. I know the president is very enthusiastic and excited to be here. Speaking to Wisconsin, the state that famously back in 2016 when Wisconsin was called, I remember Wolf Blitzer having a meltdown on CNN because those 10 electoral votes won the race, and that was so huge. When they called Wisconsin, they actually called Wisconsin before they officially declared the race in 2016. But when you knew they called that because no one had Wisconsin on their radar, you knew that President Trump was going to be our 45th president. And when they called again, on November 5th this year, you'll know that he's our 47th president.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a huge battleground state in this election, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's huge. President also, last thing before we go to commercial, he's so excited to see the people here. He saw the long lines, huge lines going for miles. So obviously that's the best sight for President Trump. He loves that. That's everything for him. So on that, we're going to be back here in a little while. But for the time being, we're going to toss back to studio for a little quick commercial break, and then we'll be back here on the ground in La Crosse, Wisconsin. So we'll see you in a second.
You ask and we listen. We're finally bringing the most requested offer ever. Get the queen size premium MyPillow, now only $19.98. MyPillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. It helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. Get our 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets only $25. Our brand new mattress topper as low as $69.98. Get our famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25 and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen-size MyPillow, only $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay, order today. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, tvOS, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.
Hi folks, this is RSBN founder and CEO Joe Seals here. In these crazy times, there is peace of mind and security. Security for our country, security for our leaders, and security for our families. But think about this. If you have all your eggs in one basket, you are not financially secure. Gold and silver are an excellent way to diversify your savings. They're a hedge against inflation. And through my friends at the Birch Gold Group, you can own physical gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. There's one thing you can do today to secure your family's savings. Just text the word Trump to 989898 and receive a free info kit on gold. Plus, in August only, on any purchase you make, Birch Gold is giving away free Trump silver coins. This brand new one-of-a-kind silver coin features Trump boldly raising his fist in the moments after the attempt on his life. You don't want to miss your chance to own this special piece of history, a celebration of a leader dedicated to our security preserved in the security of a precious metals coin. So secure your savings today and get your free Trump silver coins. Text Trump to 989898 today. That's Trump to the number 989898.
And welcome back for Primetime Auburn, Alabama. My name is Bobby McNeely. Thank you for joining Right Side Broadcasting. A busy day for President Trump as he was in Pottersville, Michigan, addressing the steel industry, United Auto Workers, and those who have built America on their broad shoulders. The Midwest, the Rust Belt. He is now en route to beautiful La Crosse, Wisconsin. We've had all the coverage with Mike Fortin in Pottersville, Michigan, and Paul Ingracia and Megan Kohler over in La Crosse, Wisconsin, giving outstanding analysis of today's events and what a week in news. Of course, the beginning of this week, President Trump visiting Arlington National Cemetery to honor the 13 service members who sadly passed away given the botched exit from Afghanistan on the orders of the Biden administration. And to remember them, I'd like to just cover all of their names, their ranks, and their ages. 3 years ago, August 26, 2021, they lost their lives, young, brave warriors, and President Biden, sadly, looking at his watch as their remains returned to their families back in the States. Army Staff Sergeant Ryan C. Knoss, 23 years old, from Corryton, Tennessee. Navy Hospitalman Maxton W. Soviet, 22, of Berlin Heights, Ohio. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Dylan R. Marola, 20, of Rucha, Cucamonga, California. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nicole, 20 years old, Norco, California. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Jared M. Schmitz, 20, St. Charles, Missouri. Marine Corps Corporal Umberto A. Sanchez, 22, Logansport, Iowa. Marine Corps Lance Corporal David L. Espinoza, 20, Rio Bravo, Texas. Marine Corporal Hunter Lopez, 22, of Indio, California. Marine Corps Corporal Dagan W. Page, 23, of Omaha, Nebraska. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Riley J. McCullum, 20, Jackson, Wyoming. Marine Corps Sergeant Nicole L. Gee, 23, Sacramento, California. Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Darren T. Hoover, 31, Salt Lake City, Utah. Marine Corps Sergeant Johanny Rosario Pichardo, 25, Lawrence, Massachusetts. May they rest in God's perfect peace, and thank you for everyone who has ever worn the uniform of the United States of America, who has bravely defended this great nation in the fight against tyranny and evil across the world. End Wokeness posted several things, whether it be on X or Instagram, regarding the last 24 hours in American politics. Dems force RFK Jr. to stay on the ballot. Dems also remove Cornel West off of the ballot. Department of Justice files an upgraded Trump indictment. Facebook admits they censored posts in compliance with Biden-Harris requests. Saving democracy by ending it. That is the far left Democrat communist playbook, quite frankly, because we've seen liberal Democrats, traditional ones, endorsing President Trump just in the last several days, and the highlight being RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, who will be moderating this town hall in La Crosse, Wisconsin, of over 10,000 people. And that's one of the largest town halls I've ever seen, as you can see in the split screen there. But President Trump giving a robust economic and manufacturing address earlier in Pottersville, Michigan, but really covered all of Agenda 47 and those top 20 promises to America, and really brilliantly highlighting, as he does and as he is able to, so many issues affecting his campaign and the fake news being out there. One of them being the fact that there was some sort of discrepancy between the Trump campaign photographers and that they did not have access to Arlington National Cemetery. Really just a bunch of hogwash at the end of the day, as a former commander-in-chief, President Donald Trump was honoring those who have fallen, on top of visiting the tomb of the unknown soldier. Also, he cleared up many of the issues regarding his stances on IVF, abortion, deducting family expenses with child tax credits. Those on the right and on the left may not agree with President Trump on those specific issues, but it's almost on a daily basis where he has to clear up what the fake news is putting out there against him. And clearly, President Trump sees this as a states' rights issue, abortion specifically. The judges he appointed on the Supreme Court and the federal judges, sending it back to the states to make those decisions. And many states have worked on that through their legislatures, through their governors, respectively. On IVF, he announced that there has to be some sort of federal assistance. So he clearly wants people to succeed in that regard. The Democrat left saying that he wants to get rid of that, and that's just not the case. So just a couple of those different items we like to clarify here at RSBN, so you, the great MAGA patriots at home, or those who might be watching from the outside who are not part of the movement, can make the decisions for yourself in a fair and balanced way. And the only way we do that is bringing this good content to you from our wonderful sponsors, one being freetrumpbook.com. The best-selling guide to President Trump is available and free to our viewers, and I have a few of them right here. Whether it's the Kid's Guide to President Trump, the Kid's Guide to Fighting Indoctrination, or the free Kid's Guide to American Greatness, this guide has been updated for 2024 and explains Trump's vision and future to America and for future voters who are our kids, especially on the policies of illegal immigration. Now, it's not surprising to learn that drugs and crime have poured over our southern border, and this is thanks to the Biden-Harris administration. If they just did not touch the great policies that President Trump put into place, this would be a much safer nation, a much safer country. Just look at what happened back in February to beautiful Laken Riley, a wonderful nursing student. She was jogging in the afternoon in Athens, Georgia, in a heavily populated area, and an illegal alien from Venezuela murdered this poor girl. He had a rap sheet longer than most, and New York DAs, George Soros funded and backed prosecutor, politicians released this evil man back into society. As a result, she is now no longer with us. And this is too much of a narrative becoming all far too common for those with an empty place at the dinner table around our great nation. More and more Americans are agreeing with the Trump policies on immigration. As future voters, our kids need to understand the ramifications of loose immigration policies. The Kid's Guide to President Trump will help them understand this and see some of the policies he's looking to enact or reenact upon his reelection. Go to freetrumpbook.com. Thank you to Free Trump Book for sponsoring RSBN. Also in the news today, we have a House report, actually this was from earlier this week, that $28 million was obtained by the Bidens when he was vice president of the United States. Really a staggering number. We have a family that seemingly by the day, the more we learn about it, has turned their backs on America, with the Hunter Biden laptop story becoming true. It was called fake news by certain entities, but Facebook suppressed that. Other big tech and corporate media outlets said that it wasn't true, but that being confirmed as we learn more and more about the Biden crime family. Perhaps the reason why the Democrats wanted full concealment, and after the June 27th debate where President Trump clearly won against President Biden, they decided to upend him and remove him from the ballot. A sad day in American history, and that's why we need to stay on the secretaries of state. Amazing things are happening throughout the country, whether that be in Texas with over 1 million illegal voters taking off those ballots. You also have Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin working hard to remove nearly 7,000 voters that were ineligible for the rolls in Virginia, whether if they moved or sadly if they had passed away. Election integrity is a bipartisan issue. And my question specifically for Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson out of Michigan, since President Trump visited there today, is the fact that why did she take Cornel West, a third-party candidate for president, off of the ballot, but she's keeping RFK Jr. on the ballot when his campaign has requested to be removed? She's using a Michigan law that states that third-party interests need to be served, but clearly there was a decision made and a choice to remove Cornel West, which is very strange considering that just as of Friday, Bobby Kennedy Jr. has endorsed President Donald Trump for re-election. So something to stay on as patriots throughout the country, including my home state of Georgia, working so fervently and so hard to make sure that election integrity is paramount and a large part of the Agenda 47 mantle, requesting IDs, requesting paper ballots, but in the meantime, using the laws on the books to mail in ballots, early vote, or go the day of, just making a plan to do so that your voice is heard. And we heard from United Auto Workers, some of their wonderful employees that don't feel represented by the top of their agency, speaking in Pottersville, Michigan today on behalf of President Trump. The Wellness Company is one of our top sponsors here at RSBN, and we have to listen up and look around. The world is getting more unpredictable by the day. We've got assassinations attempts. We have rumors of civil war, unstable markets, and now the looming threat of a potential bird flu. Did you know there's a bird flu summit being planned in October? Eerily reminiscent of what took place with the COVID pandemic back in 2020 and 2021. Get this, ladies and gentlemen, there is an agenda item, the first topic at this summit, called Mass Fatality Management Planning. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what will. But here's the good news. You don't have to be scared if you are prepared. And the Wellness Company created these contagion kits. I actually have some right here for you. Look how easy that is and how portable that is. This is packed with life-saving medications from ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, Z-Pak. It's all backed by experts like Dr. Peter McCullough, who has been canceled for his expertise and for getting this wonderful medication out to you, the American people. Also comes in other colors, such as a baby blue, a robin blue, if you will. Unisex colors, but you can mix and match it for the whole family. Easily portable to take on trips, keep in your pantry, or simply keep in your car. But imagine this. No more frantic searches for a doctor, no more emergency waiting rooms, just a few clicks, and the kit is delivered to your front door. Now, this is only available in the United States. And in times like these, having your contagion emergency kit is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. So go to makecaregreatagain.com, code RSBN for 15% off. That is makecaregreatagain.com. You can see that there on your screen for 15% off. Wonderful medical emergency contagion kits. Just plan ahead, think ahead, because these will be a wild few weeks and several days leading up to the most consequential election in American history. President Trump having a large speech in Pottersville, Michigan, as he is getting ready to head to La Crosse, Wisconsin for a town hall that's going to be hosted by Tulsi Gabbard, the former Democrat, former presidential candidate, and also a former Hawaii congresswoman will be moderating this Trump town hall. I'm sure they'll be touching on many of the issues that were brought up with the economy earlier today in Pottersville, Michigan. Also, they may touch on the fact that men and women's sports is a paramount issue. President Trump saying in Michigan simply that Kamala Harris simply does not care. She does not care about you, the American people. And I'm sure he will expound on those thoughts and ideas as he makes a presentation here tonight in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I'm Bobby McNeely. We're down here in Auburn, Alabama. Great to give you coverage across the country. And we will be sending it back to Paul Ingracia and Megan Kohler in beautiful La Crosse, Wisconsin for a Trump town hall.
And we're back in La Crosse, Wisconsin, where President Trump is set to speaking a little while from now. He's on his way, as we're told. He's in his plane, flying over to the wonderful state of Wisconsin. The fans, the audience, the MAGA patriots who have come out in by the thousands today are so excited to see President Trump, Megan. I mean, for a lot of these people, especially in a town like La Crosse, it's not like a major city like Milwaukee. So for a lot of these people, it's their first time seeing President Trump in person. It's one of their first times going to a Trump event. So the enthusiasm, as we've seen, is truly, truly through the roof. This is an arena that's packed to the rafters. You have people doing the wave, electricity through the room, chanting, cheering. We want Trump, and they're going to get a good one from President Trump in just a little while from now.
Yeah, it really feels like a sports game in here, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, the wave, I was so excited that they did the wave. They're chanting, they're cheering, and this is all like a self-pep rally. Nobody's leading this. They're just doing it because of the enthusiasm.
It's true.
Again, I mean, I think it's so exciting, and it's such a testament to how much enthusiasm is behind the MAGA movement. The fact that people are coming out, waiting in line, it's wrapped around the building. You can't even see the end of the line. It's as far as the eye can see all the way down. And we had to actually check and see if we had enough seats in here for the whole crowd to come in. So we may have even had to turn people away. So
I think so. I think there are probably thousands of people outside.
We need an overflow crowd.
We do.
That's how big this is.
We really
so
do.
Don't let anybody try to gaslight you into thinking this is not a big movement.
This really is. This could, an arena for a hockey game or basketball game, and you had every last seat in this
all the way up to the top
this
rows.
arena totally filled. I mean, I'm looking behind the camera. We can't turn the camera around just because of all the equipment here, but you go all the way back to the final row. People's backs are really like perched against the wall because it's just so jam-packed, and they're all excited to see President Trump.
All the way.
But yeah, absolutely. And honestly, Megan, this is going to be a great event for the people of Wisconsin, especially the people of La Crosse, because we were talking to a few people before. Crime rate in the county of La Crosse, in the city of La Crosse, is more than double the rate of the entire state of Wisconsin. So these people have felt the detrimental, disastrous effects of the Biden-Harris soft on crime governing philosophy over the past 4 years. And it's a shame because these are some really, really great human beings, great American patriots here coming out. And the fact that they had to endure this crime, you see like the real effects of these disastrous policies in real time. Homelessness rates also, I mean, we saw so many homeless people just walking over here, which is a sad thing. It's a beautiful city, and it could be a really great city, but you're seeing a lot of pain from the policies dealing with the economy, the soft on crime, the illegal alien crisis at the border. So all that is devastating. Even a town like La Crosse, Wisconsin, which wouldn't be many people's first thought for a town that is being hit hard by illegal aliens, illegal immigration, and many other of these soft on crime policies.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone from Wisconsin who's watching right now, make sure you're registered to vote. And there is a Senate seat up for election in November. So make sure you vote for Eric Hovde. He's up against Senator Tammy Baldwin, who's the incumbent Democrat running against him. So make sure you vote for Eric Hovde in this November's election. Everyone from Wisconsin, tell all your friends and family.
That's another thing too, Megan, because obviously we want to get President Trump back in the White House, but we need a full Senate and a Republican control of the Senate and a Republican control of the House of Representatives. And what you're seeing now, the map is very, very favorable to Republicans to retake control of the Senate and potentially do so by a significant margin, retain control of the House and maybe add to that lead with President Trump at the top of the ticket. So you have both houses of Congress in Republican hands. It'll just make President Trump's agenda that much easier to pass. You won't have the roadblocks, the obstacles. Crazy Nancy Pelosi and lying Chuck Schumer. That guy is really past his prime. I mean, that guy is in rough shape. We're looking at that guy from clips from the DNC. He's like singing on camera. And I don't know what the heck is going through that guy's head. Chuck Schumer, you got to retire. You got to be fired.
It's time.
And Nancy Pelosi as well. Both of them have to step down. They're ruining not only their states of New York and California, but the whole country with their crazy policies. And many people say that Biden, his cognitive impairment, the Alzheimer's, the dementia, whatever he might have, it's bad. But you look at Nancy Pelosi whenever she talks, it's as bad as Biden, if not worse.
Yep.
In many cases, to
Yep.
have that type of person leading D.C. Because listen, right now we know it's basically a ship without a captain. Joe Biden is not in charge of anything.
Where is he?
We don't
On the
even,
beach?
the media
Where is
covers
he?
this up. Where is Joe?
Where is
He's
Joe?
still technically the president.
Until
Where is
January.
he?
Where is
Where
he?
is he? So you have like Nancy Pelosi now running the town because
I guess so.
Kamala Harris is campaigning, I guess. I don't even know if you want to call that campaigning, but she's out on the campaign trail. Joe Biden's on the beach or something. So you have crazy Nancy running things right now, and that's not a good thing for the country. We need President Trump back very soon, but obviously having that House and having that Senate
Yes.
hit the ground running when he's back in, when he's sworn in on January 20th, 2025.
Yep.
It's amazing. Only a few short months from now, that'll give him a strong tools in the toolkit to really get that agenda passed and make for a very, very successful second term in office.
Exactly. And I'm from the state of Ohio. So, by the way, there's another Senate race in Ohio between Bernie Moreno, who's a Trump-endorsed businessman from Ohio. He's a great guy from Cleveland. He was from Colombia, and he came to America the right way, built a business. He's the American dream. He's a great example of that. So he's running against Sherrod Brown. So we got to get Sherrod Brown out and get Bernie Moreno in. So that's another one running for Senate for Ohio. So make sure all you Ohioans get out and vote for Bernie as well.
Who better to vote for than two Trump-endorsed candidates, and Eric Hovde and, of course, Bernie Moreno, two America First patriots. And, of course, we need as many as we can get in that Senate to go against everything, all the shenanigans and all the tricks that Chuck Schumer is trying to pull, obviously they're going to try some last minute thing, even if when President Trump is elected, not if, when he is elected in November, they're going to try some last minute thing to try to, for whatever reason, not certify his vote in both houses of the Congress. Obviously that won't fly and the American people won't put up with that, but that's just the sort of mentality you're dealing with in D.C. And, you remember the days when Trump was in the White House. It feels like almost a year ago. It wasn't that long ago. We miss it desperately.
We miss it.
But when he had Chuck Schumer and he had Nancy Pelosi in his office, he really whipped them into shape. He had those two really eating out of his hand. And Trump always says it. He says, you wouldn't believe we were running things so successfully.
Right.
We were so prosperous as a country. By the end, you wouldn't even believe who was coming into my office, who was able to make a deal with, basically alluding to many Democrats who, in public would say the worst things about him. But behind the scenes, we're working very well with President Trump. And that's really the type of person he is. He's a unifying figure. He's truly a unifying figure. And that really speaks to his greatness. He's a rare type of politician in the same league as George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, where you could unify everybody. Both sides of the aisle. He's that type of figure, and that's why we so desperately need him back in the White House. I'm going to just step aside for 1 second, but Megan, maybe just adding to that point.
Yeah. I mean, you made a great point about how President Trump's a unifier. He had RFK Jr. endorse him, who was an iconic Democrat. The Kennedy family is a historic family in American politics, so a Democrat to endorse him, and then also Tulsi Gabbard endorsing him. I mean, he's really bringing everybody together, and President Obama back in the day was running on hope and change and unifying everyone, but it was really just a bait and switch. He said he was going to, and then when he got in office, he didn't do that at all. He was playing the middle, and then as soon as he got in office, he went super radical
and then
left.
He sold out the country.
Exactly.
China and many other places.
Yeah, and I remember when he was running when I was a teenager. I didn't know anything about politics or the real world, and everybody was excited about President Obama, or he wasn't the president yet, but Obama running. And he said, I'm going to fundamentally change America.
Yeah.
And that creeped me out, and I didn't even know anything about politics.
I know.
Very ominous. And I was a teenager at the time.
You were a teenager and you picked up on it.
And it still haunts me to this day. And I was like, what does he mean? Like, I fundamentally love America. Maybe some tweaks here and there. But what does he mean by fundamentally change America?
Well,
and now we're starting to see it.
We know. We've seen it. We've seen the destruction he's caused to the country. I mean, when Obama took office, 2008, 2009, obviously we had the heels of the Great Recession. That was a gift from George Bush, and Bush gave us Obama, the worst president we had up until that point, up until Joe Biden got into office. But, you know, Obama transformed this country in all the worst possible ways. He brought tens of millions of illegals into the country. You know, back then we didn't hear about men competing in women's sports or men using women's locker rooms in preschool and kindergarten and middle school. You know, you never heard about that. So all this radical, woke, progressive leftist policies
Obamacare
really took place over the past 10 years, and it's done a real number on our country. President Trump represents the opposite of all that. He represents America first, America first.
Right.
And of course, that's not America only. He just means prioritizing the American citizen before the globe, before the world. And that had not been done in decades in our do-nothing D.C., Washington swamp establishment. He brought all that back, and we need that again. And hopefully we will get that again in just a couple months from now.
Yep, and the Democrats' plan was to have Obama in office, Hillary Clinton in office, I guess Joe Biden in office.
Yeah.
They just wanted to keep implementing their agenda forever. And they didn't plan for Trump to win, but obviously the American people wanted President Trump in office, and he put through a huge wrench in their plans. So he had to stop their agenda because we had the America First agenda. So as soon as they got back in office with Biden, you can tell that they've super speeded their radical left agenda because they had time.
Exactly. They were not expecting the Trump wrench to be their entire agenda and plans. And now, obviously, you know, if President Trump does not, God forbid, get back into the office of the presidency again, they're going to go on to relapse to their original plan, get Kamala in there, and then it'll be Democratic Party dominance forever. And that's what their plan is. And, you know, that's why the stakes are so high this election cycle, and why the American people won't let that happen. We're going to quickly toss to Bobby, who's been doing great work all day long. Bobby, you're a champion. You're a hero. In the studio, he's going to do a quick commercial, and then we'll be back on the grounds here in La Crosse to cover up our last remaining segment before President Trump speaks. So off to you, Bobby, in the studio.
And thank you, Paul. Thank you, Megan. Out in La Crosse, Wisconsin, awaiting President Trump's town hall tonight, which will be invigorating, exciting. Tulsi Gabbard is going to be presenting as the moderator tonight. So it should be an interesting, one of the largest town halls I've seen, over 10,000 people. But we'd like to thank our friends over at American Finance, an outstanding mortgage firm. Look, you could save an average of $854 per month. Just call today, 888-402-0299. You can see that right there on your screen. American Financing, if you own a home, this is very smart to call our Patriot friends over at American Financing because they could save you a substantial amount of money with an average savings of $854 per month. That is just so needed in this time with the cost of living, food and groceries, to gasoline. Look, Americans' credit card debt is through the roof, inflation through the roof. Over 67% of Americans are now dealing with high interest rates on their credit cards, which could take years to pay off. So if you refinance and talk to the great patriots over at American Financing, they could save you this substantial amount of money per month, $854 on average. Call today, 888-402-0299, and I'm happy to send it back to two patriots in La Crosse, Wisconsin, Megan and Paul.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bobby, for that ad read, and really all the credit our team today. I just want to give a special shout out to the whole RSBN team. Been doing great work. It's a long day doing two events back to back, so I just want to give a shout out to Bobby and our studio and our team back at the studio, and also obviously the team on the ground in Michigan earlier today doing great work covering that event in Potterville, Michigan. You know, it's a lot of work keeping up with President Trump. He keeps the people working hard, but that just speaks to his stamina and his strength. And you know, Kamala Harris could never do anything like this.
No way.
But again, credit to Bobby, credit to the entire RSBN staff, and also our audience back at home, our viewers, our listeners. We've been hearing from a lot of you in person here, longtime viewers who've been watching us for years, and we just want to thank you so much for tuning into us on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, wherever you might get our program and our live stream. We thank you so much for tuning in and remaining loyal. We appreciate all the positive remarks. If you're able to contribute to our network, please do so. But you all have been great. You all have been fantastic for sticking with us, and you all are so loyal. The RSBN audience is the best audience in the movement. And there are a lot of good audiences back out here, but you guys are truly phenomenal people. And it's so great. If you ever attend an event, you see us, you see Nikki, you see Vanessa, you see any of us in person, Grace, come up to us, say hello, because we really, really enjoy meeting you and interacting with you guys, the fans, because you guys are the key to keeping all this network running and keeping us, able to carry on and cover every single Trump event, which we plan to do and which we will continue to do, especially as we head into this final home stretch. So many thanks to you, and God bless all of you for watching us all day long today.
We do have the best you all.
They got a lot of Megan fans out there.
Megan fans. I guess this is my second event, so I'm really excited to be here. I thought today was awesome. This is going to be a great evening. And thank you to everybody that came up to me and said hi and got a picture. So that was fun too.
Megan, where could the folks at home find you on social media? Give them a shout out. I know you're big on Instagram, so maybe you want to tell them.
I have a real estate Instagram called Megan Kohler Properties. So if you look that up, you'll be able to follow me there. Okay, excellent. Megan Kohler Properties. And I'm pretty big on X now, at Paul and Gracia. I've been posting video of this event. It's tough during these events because cell service, there's so many people in one spot. Cell service gets a little tough, so it's hard to post consistently during this. Well, I'll be sure to post a lot of videos once we get out of here, but we were posting earlier today at Paul and Gracia. Be sure to give us a follow on X. Give RSBN also a follow on X and True Social as well, at Paul and Gracia. Instagram, True Social. And also, if you watch me, I write a lot. I'm on Substack as well. King. He's a Substack king.
PaulandGracia.substack.com.
Yeah.
That's basically a blog, right? Produce articles, all legal, political commentary. Basically, no bias, cutting straight to the truth. President Trump loves to frequently retruth it. And if the president is watching our broadcast, we love you, President Trump. You're doing phenomenal work. Keep fighting. And the American people are 100% behind you and on your side, and they love you here in the state of Wisconsin.
1,000,000%. We love President Trump here in the Midwest, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Paul, I have an interesting question for you.
Sure.
Due to the ominous tone of communism that's unfortunately right around the corner.
It's looming over our country.
Have you ever been to a communist country?
So I was in Romania actually last summer.
How was that?
And that's obviously a former country, former Soviet, within the Warsaw Pact, within the former Soviet bloc. And you could see, they're great people, very religious, very Christian, traditional values. So in that respect, they're very good. But you can see that they're still behind the rest of Europe and the rest of the Western world by decades, and all that is the result of communism. Communism, even though the Soviet Union has been gone for nearly 40 years now, the effects of that are seared into their memories, and really on the ground, the economy is still not what it could have been if it's, comparing them to Germany or Spain or UK. And a lot of these countries now in Europe are not in the best condition based on a lot of what's going on in the world at large. But comparatively speaking, Romania is still kind of behind the rest of the pack. Traditional values, they're good on that front, but you see the effects of communism in real time, even in the present day. So it just goes to show that if you have a communist system, it will affect you for generations and generations and generations. So
even after the fact.
To answer your question, yes, I have been to a former communist country. It's not good. How about you? Have you?
Were you kissing the ground when you got back to America?
I was. Well, the Romanian people, wonderful people. They're actually like Italians in many respects. I'm Italian, so the food was actually pretty good. Surprisingly good. It was very Italian inspired. I mean, obviously it's called Romania, so it goes back to Rome and the Roman Empire. That's where the name comes from. So God bless those people.
Totally.
But yeah, that was my experience. How about you, baby?
So I actually have been to China.
Okay.
I went to China in the summer of 2015 because I danced with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So the NBA and China had a big partnership.
They did. Not a good one.
Yep. So we had dancers, basketball players, mascots, dunk team, Cavs crew, those kind of people from all different cities across the NBA in America would go over to different touring cities in China.
Right.
So we went to Kunming and a place called Wuhan.
Wow.
Have you ever heard of Wuhan?
Not Wuhan. Wuhan.
Wuhan, yep. So I went to Wuhan. And this was my first time ever going to a country in Asia, and I was really excited, but I was kind of nervous because I knew it was communist. But then when I actually got there, I could really see the effects, like how you're saying, when you actually see it with your own eyes, the effects of communism, it's very creepy. So when we're driving through the city, it was as big as far as the eye could see. I've never seen a city that big. In America, our cities are not that big, but there, it was as far as the eye can see. And the buildings were falling apart. It didn't look like they had kept up with anything on the buildings. The paint was chipping. It was like kind of, in shambles a little bit. Lines out the window for people to hang their laundry. You could tell it was poverty.
Right.
For most of the drive when we're driving around on our tour bus, going to the different areas that we had to go to. And then all of a sudden you would see these beautiful, extravagant malls, like with a bunch of designers like Hermes, Cartier, Chanel, all these like really, really, really high-end designer stores and beautiful, extravagant hotels. And it hit me in that moment when I saw that huge difference that there's no middle class here.
No, none
it's either
at all.
it's a ton of poverty and then some elites and no middle class. And that's why I'm so adamant about strengthening our middle class. Because
Absolutely.
when I saw that, it really
It was an
upset
eye-opening
me.
experience. For
Yes,
you, for sure.
it was. And you could tell that these people were very sheltered. They're not allowed to use social media in China.
Yeah.
There is a way to get around it with a firewall or something like that, a VPN, something along those lines. So some people do get around it and use social media, but they're very sheltered. The government wants to tell them exactly the agenda and the talking points and the echo chamber that the government wants to create. So they're not allowed to use Facebook or Instagram or anything.
It's total control.
It is.
And they have social credit scores too, where if you voice an opinion against the government that they dislike, if you exercise, they don't have a First Amendment in China. So you say a bad word about the regime, the party in power, and they're fierce. They're tough cookies, Can you imagine Kamala Harris dealing with those guys? She would turn into a puddle. She wouldn't be able to deal with those guys. They are tough guys. And Donald Trump all the time talks about how fierce it is to deal with the Chinese Communist Party. So, it's a system. It's a completely different system where you have, in the Eastern world, the oligarchs have a lot of wealth, billions of people there living and languishing in poverty.
Actual poverty,
and, I talked about Romania, which was a former communist country. You went to China, which is currently a communist country. And for you to see that firsthand, an actual communist country, and then to come back here in the United States and see how much decline we've gone through over the past 4 years and how we're rapidly heading in that direction. We talk to so many people, how they see it firsthand. They escape from, Cuba or China or Venezuela, and they come here and they're like, this is exactly what I escaped from. Why did I even come here in the first place?
Yeah.
So that's an incredible experience that you have.
I actually have a friend who, her and her family escaped China.
Wow.
I guess they had enough money to get out because usually in communist countries like that, they don't let you leave.
Right.
But somehow they figured out a way to escape. And now she lives in San Francisco, and she tells me all these stories about back in China versus America. She loves America. She's very patriotic. And exactly what you're saying, when she starts to see this stuff that she used to experience in China, she's yelling red alert to everyone around her because she doesn't want to see that happen in America again. And I just thought of something that was really interesting, too, that I saw in China. There were safe stores everywhere, like to lock up money.
Well, you're seeing that in New York. Safe.
It's a safe to lock up money. So you'd try to stockpile as much cash as you could have, and then put it in a safe to keep in your house rather than keeping your money in a bank because it's so controlled.
Well, they want to do away with cash, and that's just like, you hear about Kamala Harris, switching to central bank digital currency. So basically, she wants to do away with cash. This is exactly what they have in China, what you were describing right now.
Right.
Do away with cash so you have no control over it. You have it in a virtual or digital bank account. And with a snap of a finger, they can lock you out of your assets, lock you out of your ability to pay for anything. And that's a really scary system. And that's something that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have endorsed 100%. I mean, they've been behind this since day one. And this goes back to the Obama days, too. They've been behind central bank digital currencies compared to Donald Trump, who's embraced alternative currencies like Bitcoin, which is decentralized currency. And that's a way to freedom. It's endorsed by libertarians. That's your way of getting out from the central banking system. And he's wholeheartedly embraced that. He was at the Bitcoin conference about a month ago, and the Bitcoin community has rallied around him. But there's a lot of uncertainty from a regulatory standpoint with Kamala Harris, because if she got in there, she would appoint Gary Gensler, the current SEC chairman, as Treasury Secretary, and could kiss Bitcoin away if that were to happen. And that's something that, you know, all totalitarian regimes are against decentralized currency. Whether China's been very opposed to it. Obviously, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are opposed to it. The left has been very against it because it's about personal autonomy and personal freedom over centralized control, and they're fully on board with centralized control. And they look to China. They see exactly what you see, and the left says, "I want to be like that, and we want to bring that to the United States of America." And hopefully, the American people say no, not on my watch.
And if they have full control of the digital currency, if you speak out against the government at all, they can just turn it off.
Exactly.
As well as maybe your fully electric car that's connected to the internet.
That's another thing. We haven't even talked about that yet.
I know.
You want to talk about electric vehicles? How they want to switch from gas-powered vehicle. And obviously, Kamala Harris, she's now saying, oh, I wasn't opposed to fracking. Trump says this all the time. This is true wisdom. Your first policy as a politician that you say in public is your true beliefs. Kamala Harris was vocally opposed to fracking and oil and gas gas-powered automobiles from the day she entered politics. And she still is that way, too. Don't let that pivot fool you. She is still like gas-powered, not just cars, but boats and everything else. You talk to anyone who knows anything about the industry, whether it's trucking or they're like, you're crazy. You're going to tank the entire economy if you replace everything with electric-powered vehicles. I mean, Trump is for diversity and variety within the marketplace. He said, listen, if you like your Cybertruck, you can keep your Cybertruck. You're fine with that. I'm all for innovation, but we can't do away with traditional automobiles. We can't do away with oil. Because honestly, if you have electric vehicle, you're going to need something to power those vehicles, and you don't have enough infrastructure right now to do so. And still, what do you think powers that infrastructure? It's electricity, which is powered by gas burning oil, and coal and other natural resources, nuclear as well. So it makes sense to be for all types of energy, not to sequester yourself into one type of energy. But obviously, the left is all on board with the EV gimmick, and that'd be a disaster for our economy.
And who's making the chips that go in the cars? Who's making the batteries that go in the car? China.
Right. Exactly. They're also against gas-powered stoves as well. Talking about bring everything full circle. We're talking about nutrition before and food. You know, you can't cook better food than on a gas-powered stove. I mean, that's like
comparison.
I mean, listen, we have electric. I also have a gas-powered stove.
I have a gas.
There's no comparison. There's no comparison between the two. And listen, they seem like under Kamala Harris and in a city like New York, they're going to send someone knocking on your door saying, if you have a gas-powered oven, you know, we're going to confiscate it from you, we're going to throw you in jail. That's practically what they're saying. It's pretty scary stuff.
It could actually get to that. I know it sounds silly when you say this, but that could be a real thing. That could be a real thing. My friend from China that I was telling you about before told me during COVID, remember the COVID lockdowns? In China, people were getting sealed into their apartment. If they were trying to leave, the government had such control over them that they were like sealing the people in. Like you were not allowed to leave your apartment. And that's what the left is all about. They want full control. They don't want you to have any freedoms. They don't want you to have any individual liberties and freedoms. They want to have control of every aspect of your life, what you do, where you live, your money, your car, your stove, where you cook your food. They'll get their fingers into every single inch of your life if you don't stop them.
That's true. That's for sure. They will. And listen, you give them an inch and they'll take
A mile, that's
and
for sure.
that's what they have been doing. That's what they will continue doing. And if, God forbid, she were to get back into the Oval Office, you know, she'll change on a dime and she'll become the radical Marxist communist that she's always been. And the country really will be brought to ruin. I mean, you're going to see our foreign powers be more aggressive than they have been under Biden. I mean, she projects so much weakness on the world stage. You have she looking at Kamala Harris and looking at this clown show, Tim Walz, jumping around on stage. And they're like, this is the guy, this is the United States of America.
That's the best.
What happened to General Patton? What happened to, Douglas MacArthur? What happened to the great generals of old that used to be the image of competence on the world stage? We don't have that anymore. Donald Trump will bring that back, of course, but
Exactly.
if she gets in, it's going to be a clown fest, a clown show on the world stage, and it ain't going to be fun for anybody.
When Donald Trump was in office, we were actually respected as a country. All the other world leaders respected America, and they didn't think that we were a clown show like
No,
the current administration.
They did
like
not
you
think
said.
so. They respected us again.
They did.
And you hear so many people talk about it. They respected us again. But, we talk about so much uncertainty, Megan, here on the show, on this program, about the world, about the United States. There will be far less uncertainty when President Trump is back in. But for the time being, if you're struggling to pay back taxes or unfiled returns, we know the IRS is escalating collections, adding 20,000 new agents and sending over 5 million collection letters to kick off 2024. In these challenging times, your best defense is Tax Network USA. Don't let the IRS take advantage of you. With over 14 years of experience, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion. That's billion with a B in back taxes. No matter the size of your tax issue, their expertise is your advantage. They specialize in negotiating with the IRS. It's aiming to significantly reduce that. Tax Network USA doesn't just negotiate, they also protect your assets from IRS seizures and manage your yearly returns for ongoing compliance. Importantly, when they're licensed in all 50 states, so these are great people licensed in all 50 states. They can handle any state tax issue that you throw at them. So the clock is ticking. Don't wait as the IRS steps up. Network USA for immediate relief and expert guidance. Call 1-800-115. That's 1-800-357-1415. Visit tnusa.com/RSBN. Don't let taxes overpower you. Turn to Tax Network USA and find your path to financial peace of mind today.
And that's definitely needed now with all those extra IRS agents after everybody.
Definitely, 100%. 100%. And it's not just, you hear about weaponized justice system. They're weaponizing everything, whether it's the IRS, the FBI, the CIA. You know that they're not going to disclose those Kennedy files from the assassination, 1963. They're not able to do so because the CIA doesn't want to look bad. They're trying to cover up a lot of stuff. And they're weaponizing them against not just President Trump and key surrogates like Jeff Clark, an American patriot, and so many others, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro. So many people have been exercising their rights to parent over their children. I mean, that's a fundamental right. If you don't have a right over your children learns and the values that's instilled in your children, what rights do you have at all? I mean, that's baseline rights. But to have those people on domestic terrorist lists, I mean, crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. This is truly banana republic type justice. And it's really scary what we're going through right now as a country, Megan.
Yeah, they pick a target and then they do anything that they can to attack them no matter what, rather than seeing a criminal and then investigating that.
Yep.
They're really weaponizing the justice system, like you said.
Exactly.
And the end justifies the means with these people.
Right. It's Machiavellian type tactics. The end justifies the means.
Right.
As an Italian, we know a lot about that. But the way they're doing it, it's a government of gangsters. I mean, these people put mobsters to shame. The way Joe Biden and Merrick Garland and Kamala Harris have weaponized the DOJ. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, mafia people, are looking at that like, wow, we wouldn't even go that low. I mean, that is some sick stuff what is going on in this country. But Donald Trump will clean it all up. We know he will. We just need to do our part as American citizens to get the word out nonstop. I mean, listen, we've been fighting all these past 4 years. I know it's been a grind. It's been grueling for a lot of people. We're almost at the finish line. We're almost going to be at the finish line where we're going to have, greatness again in this country. But we just need to really hunker down over these next 10, 11, 12 weeks to go until November 5th, the greatest day in American history, and that will truly be the start of America's revival and renewal, November 5th. But we all have our parts to do, Megan.
Yes.
We're trying to get the word out here, trying to get people to register voters. Scott Pressler being a great example in Pennsylvania, on the ground every single day, registering voters and getting them to the polls and exposing these issues. Why don't we pitch that website again that we were talking about earlier?
So there's a website called protectthevote.com, and if you go on the website, you can see all the crucial states that are very susceptible to voter fraud. So if you're able to go to that website and please volunteer to become a poll watcher. I have faith in the American people that we are going to vote Donald Trump in office, but we need to be watching the vote to make sure that the Democrats don't cheat again. And you mentioned earlier about lawyers getting involved. There is a section on the website that asks if you are
a lawyer, right?
Yeah, if you are a lawyer.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to be barred in a state that you want to look into. I mean, we know the key states. We've said them over and over again: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, North Carolina, Nevada, many other states like that. Virginia, too. I mean, Virginia potentially could switch Republican under Glenn Youngkin and the great work he's doing there. But, the point being was, if you're a lawyer, get involved. If you're an average, everyday citizen, you just want to make sure that they don't steal or cheat their way to victory. Again, get involved by going on that link. It's a great link to get started.
And I took President Trump's office again. Voter ID.
I know.
And paper ballots.
4 parts to this.
4 parts.
We got to drill this into everyone's head. Voter ID, same-day voting.
Yep.
Citizenship verification, paper ballots. No machines, paper ballots, voter ID.
How is it not that way?
Citizenship verification. That's always how it's been. And maybe they'll make Election Day like a national holiday, potentially, so everyone can go home from work that day, vote, 1 day only. We'll have everything counted. Results in no controversy, no mess, no dysfunction. We'll know who the president is the day in which the votes are casted, which is what it's always been. And we're the most sophisticated, technologically sophisticated civilization ever in this era in history.
Right.
And they can't figure out how to tabulate votes for a president. They were able to do this stuff in 1824, folks, and they can't figure it out in 2024.
Exactly.
I mean, is it really that they can't figure it out, or actually something squirrely is going on?
Yeah, it's a gray area. It's a gray area. It sounds like it's more so planned to be a mess rather than we're incapable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
that voting system sounds like, why isn't it that way? Like, it should be, that's like a common sense thing, right? Like, and it's an efficient, solid way to do it. That process is how we should be running our voting. So
it's common sense. I mean, you need you need ID to practically to go to the store and buy like a can of tomatoes or cereal, right? So it's basic common sense that you need ID to cast a vote. Because listen, if you don't have ID, anyone could be voting. You could have terrorists voting. You could have illegal aliens voting.
Yeah.
You have dead people voting. You have Martians voting.
Yeah.
I mean, really, all of the above. And they likely are voting if we don't have voter ID.
Yeah, not to mention all those mail-in ballots during the COVID era. How many mail-in ballots, like multiple ballots, went to the same person's house?
Right, exactly. And typically, if you have mail-in ballots and you have all these drop boxes as well, courts traditionally have applied heightened scrutiny to these things, which is in the law and constitutional law. Heightened scrutiny means, wait, well, there's a red flag here. Let's to make sure that our election processes aren't being corrupted or rigged. I mean, you want that in a free and democratic society. You want legitimate and fair elections. I mean, that's a foundational principle in order to have a free society. So courts have traditionally applied heightened scrutiny to boxes.
Right.
But now all of a sudden all the rules have been thrown out the window over the past 4 years.
Yeah.
What you were saying as well with the, used to be absentee voting was highly regulated. It was only to like veterans or if you were, truly ill and you couldn't make it to the ballot box, you're incapacitated, whatever, you're very old, elderly. Absentee voting, rules need to be totally undone and solidified where very few exceptions and you only are able to vote in person. But for the time being, the rules are as they are. We have to deal with the reality of the situation. And given the reality now, you got to vote early. And once you vote early, you'll get your vote counted into the system. And this is for 2024 only. You vote early and then you get all your friends, all your family, make sure they're all registered and bring them to the polls, to the ballot box, or bring the ballot box to them, figuratively speaking, right?
Absolutely. And if there's anyone that you know that's on the fence, they're neutral, they feel weird about voting, and they say, I don't like Donald Trump's personality or something like that. I don't know if you hear that a lot.
Not as much anymore. I heard about Kamala, but sometimes you get a few holdouts.
Right, but I hear that a lot. I don't like his tweets or he's mean or whatever. But I always use this analogy. If you're dying of a heart attack or if you have a heart failure and you need a life-saving surgery, are you going to go with the surgeon that's really nice and charming and fun and cool, but he's got a 50% success rate? Or are you going to go with the surgeon with a 95% success rate, but he might be mean?
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer to me.
Do you want to live or what?
The left might go with the other guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So the results speak for themselves. If you're in a dire situation, you have to go with the one with the results. So please, I implore you all, vote for Donald Trump. Tell your friends and family to vote for him, and use that analogy if there's anybody that you know that's on the fence.
I think that was a perfect analogy and really well said, Megan. Also, another thing, they're making abortion to be a much greater issue than it should be this election cycle. President Trump, of course, is proud of his record in appointing 3 constitutionalists to the Supreme Court. Roe v. Wade got overturned. It returned to the states where legal scholars on both sides of the aisle for decades, Democrats, Republicans alike, supported returning it to the states. You have a state like where I'm from, New York, where it's more liberal on the issue, and they pretty much legalized it in every case, probably way too extreme in many cases. And then you have other states like where you're from, Ohio and Georgia and Virginia and Florida, Texas, more restrictive with their abortion policies. And listen, that's how America is supposed to work. It's states are supposed to be what they used to call laboratories of experimentation and democracy. You have one state with a stricter value system, another state with a looser system, and that's just the beauty of America. But abortion is not on the docket. As far as a federal issue is concerned, the border crisis, the economy, the foreign policy, those are the issues that are at stake this cycle.
Yeah.
Abortion's no longer really an issue anymore. It's returned to the states where it will belong. And
it's not a federal anymore.
The president and also even J.D. Vance came out and said, we're not even supporting a national abortion ban. They wouldn't sign that into law. So really, it's hands off for them. It's out of their control at this point. So if you have any holdout voters griping about that issue, just explain to them that it's been returned to the states, and likely a state that you're in, it legalized. States it still is legalized, and obviously I'm pro-life and I'm 100% behind pro-life, but the sad reality is, in many states it remains legal, and that's ultimately down to the will of the voters, and you can't change that. It's just down to the will of the voters. So
that's a great point that it's been returned back to the states.
Right, exactly.
Because I actually know people that are voting based off of that issue alone, and they're saying, am I going to go for Kamala or Donald Trump based off of one issue?
They shouldn't vote on that issue alone. One, because it's not really an issue this cycle, and two, Kamala Harris is, you take the left, the extremism on abortion, she's for 9 months, she's for, I remember the Democrat governor before Glenn Youngkin came into power, pro-abortion after birth. I mean, they would take the baby out of the wound and start chopping it up. It sounds extremely gruesome. really horrific. But that's what Kamala Harris would be for.
Yeah.
So they take abortion to a new extreme that no one ever heard of, and no one is for that. I mean, whether you're pro-life, pro-choice,
sickening.
no one's, unless you're really sick. You have to be really sick to be 9 months, after post-birth abortion, which many Democrats are. And she owns those policies. She's never been for a restriction.
Right.
But on that note, do you want to do the kids guide?
Sure.
We have our sponsorship right there with the kids
We
guide.
need to protect our kids.
Yeah,
On that note,
absolutely.
we must protect our children at all costs. And the radical left Democrats, so listen to this. This is very important. The Kids Guide to President is available for free to viewers. Just pay shipping and processing with this special promotion. This guide has been updated for 2024 and explains Trump's vision for the future of America to kids, including his policies on immigration. It's not surprising to learn that crime and drugs are getting worse and in America is under siege by illegal immigrants pouring in from the southern border thanks to Biden's immigration policies that are overwhelming our cities and endangering Americans. Just look at what happened last week at UGA when Laken Riley was murdered by Jose Antonio Ibarra, an illegal immigrant who came from here from Venezuela. As a result, more and more Americans are agreeing with Trump's policies on immigration. As future voters, one second. That's exciting.
They're pumped up.
So pumped up. As future voters, our kids need to understand the ramifications of loose immigration policies. The Kids Guide to President Trump helps them understand this, along with his vision for America following his re-election. Go to freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com today and get yours. All you have to pay for is shipping and handling. And it's really important to talk to our kids about this in a way that they can understand, because kids are so impressionable. And if we don't pay attention and do this and teach them the right way, the radical left will radicalize the kids.
Absolutely, absolutely. You said it better than anyone. I mean, that's truly, there's a war on our children and our country,
There is.
war on parents' rights. We got to put an end to that. We got to return traditional values into our society. And these fans, Megan, these fans are pumped up.
It's jumping in here.
I don't know, do you want to sip of water really quickly?
Yeah.
We're going along, so I'm going to give Megan an opportunity to get a quick sip of water. But listen, I can't even hear my voice at this point. They were playing Enter Sandman before. It's like, if you're a Yankee fan, you think of Mariano Rivera coming in from the bullpen. So, they're playing it right now. It's crazy. It really has like a very sports-like atmosphere. Mariano Rivera, by the way, has been a great supporter of President Trump. Just giving a shout out. That's greatness supporting greatness. But anyway, I digress. Donald Trump is like America's closer, who's going to close out this election and win it for us. Big league, and do it in a fantastic way.
Paul, I cannot get over this crowd. This is a town hall, folks. This is not a rock concert. This is not a sports game.
Yeah.
People are doing the wave. Everyone's cheering. They're jumping up and down. I mean, this is exciting stuff.
Welcome to the stage, Miss Madison's Team 2024.
Okay.
Natalie Pop to sing our national anthem.
Are we going to that? All right, so we're going to go.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land
Ladies and gentlemen, stage four-term Congresswoman from Hawaii's 2nd District and Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Army Reserve, Tulsi Gabbard.
Start of the climb, faced with the knob, vipers and lions. I had to keep on reaching up, cause it was my time to tear down the kingdom, call out the liars. Got a jail on my heart from the pessimist.
Aloha! It is such a privilege to join all of you here tonight. Thank you for your patience. It's worth the wait, right? What a special week to be here, to join all of you. A few things have happened. Not sure if you caught it in the news. 2 former Democratic presidential candidates have endorsed Donald J. Trump to be President of the United States. You might have heard of a guy named Bobby Kennedy Jr. And I was really proud to stand with President Trump just this past Monday to announce my endorsement and support for him in front of thousands of my National Guard soldiers and airmen, fellow soldiers and airmen. Because I am so excited about the opportunity that we have before us to stand together, not as Democrats and Republicans, but as proud Americans who love this great country. There's a lot of work to be done. The stakes could not be higher than they are right now. President Trump is going to talk about, and we'll have a conversation about why these stakes are so high and how he and he alone is the candidate to lead us toward that path of peace, prosperity, and freedom. Join me in welcoming the next President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump. Let's go, let him hear it.
Where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in American there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you. USA. USA.
USA.
We love our country. We love our country, don't we? It's amazing. And it's a great country, but we have to take it back because our country's not feeling so well. We're going to get healthy and beautiful and better than ever. And it's really, this is some crowd, and you can duplicate the crowd outside. So if anybody would like to give up your seat, that would be okay. No? Let's have a good time. Thank you very much, everybody.
That song gets me fired up every time.
So great. Lee Greenwood is so great. Great guy, too.
Well, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
This is a very special evening for us all to have a conversation about some of the real issues that are facing Americans across the country and that don't get talked about often enough. And I want to start with one that's very personal to me, hard to talk about sometimes. This is only the second time I've spoken about it publicly, but my husband and I were married almost 10 years ago. We wanted to start a family. We were very excited about it. Unfortunately, it was very difficult. We were not successful in trying to get pregnant. For us, IVF seemed to be the only option and the last resort. As you know, it's a pretty difficult process. It's very, very expensive. Yeah. I was in Congress at the time, traveling. I would carry the medicine that I had to administer shots to myself sometimes in an airport bathroom. And ultimately, the most difficult part was every time going to the doctor for another transfer and hoping that it would result in a positive pregnancy test, and then being heartbroken over and over every time that test came back negative. Now, I know some of your opponents, your political opponents, are saying that you want to ban IVF. While it did for us, it's worked for a lot of families. And I just know that there are women and couples in this crowd, or those who are watching here tonight, who may be going through this same struggle and are concerned about being able to have this option, either because they might not be able to afford it, or they're concerned that it just may not be available. And I'd love for you to talk to them about how they should feel.
Well, thank you very much, Tulsi. And I didn't know about your situation. And it's tough stuff, right? Tough. Life is pretty tough. It can be beautiful, but it can be difficult. We are doing something with IVF, because IVF, as you know from friends and people you know, it's really worked out very well for a lot of people. It gave them a child when they would not have had a child. And I told my people I wanted to look at this a couple of weeks ago. And as you know, we have no taxes on a thing called tips. You know that? And I said, tell me. We did three things. We did that, and we did no tax for seniors on Social Security benefits. We want to have that. And I've been seeing a lot of IVF, and I kept hearing that I'm against it, and I'm actually very much for it. In fact, in Alabama, where a judge ruled against it, and I countered the judge and came out with a very strong statement for it. And the Alabama...
You were very quick in your response to that.
I was, but they were too. They were amazing. The legislature approved virtually my statement. I'm in full IVF, and it's really gone. It's terrific. And I said, so with the tips and with the Social Security, the no taxes on Social Security, I said, maybe for IVF, and I've been looking at it, and what we're going to do is for people that are using IVF, which is fertilization, the government is going to pay for it, or we're going to get or mandate your insurance company to pay for it. Right. We're going to do that.
I can't tell you how life-changing that would be for so many families. because it costs a lot of money. A lot of people go into debt just for the hope of being able to start their own family.
Well, it's big, and you know what? We want to produce babies in this country, right? We want to produce babies. So I think it's going to be something we sort of announced it a little bit. We were in a great place, Michigan. We all love Michigan, right? We're going to bring back the car industry, and we're going to get a lot of it back to Michigan. They've been taking our cars away. They've been taking our manufacturing away over years, over decades. And if you look at it today, it's a shell of what it was years ago, but we're going to bring it back. Mexico is right now building massive car factories, actually being financed and built by China, and they think they're going to sell their cars back into our country. It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Oh, listen to that. That is not going to happen. But wrong in the car industry. The union leadership has been horrible. I think I'm going to win by 85%, the union, but because we're bringing it back. And we're going to have electric cars, but we're going to have gasoline-powered cars, and we're going to have hybrids. We're going to have every kind of car. We're not going with just that. But I just felt that it would be a good place to announce it, and we did sort of the announcement there a little bit, and now we do the big announcement tonight in front of all of these television stations, all of the fake news, the fake, they're all over the place. They're all over the place. I don't know what's going on. We don't even know, I was saying, because we're doing this, and I finished, and I figured I was going to come here, and we're going to make a speech. I had a speech all set for you. I was ready. They said, sir, you're actually doing a town hall. I said, oh, nobody told me that. I said, who's doing it? They said, Tulsi. I said, well, that's at least good news. I've been a fan of hers for a long time, I have to tell you. So I didn't even know. I'm in the plane, and I'm looking over some material, and we're going to give you a hell of a speech tonight. We were set to give you one hell of a speech. They said, no, sir, it's a town hall. I said, why doesn't somebody tell me this stuff? And I don't even have any idea who we're doing it for. I don't know. Is it for a network or what? I see a lot of television all over the place, so maybe it's on all of them. But I did get to see the strangest thing today. I looked at the news conference of Kamala. I call her Comrade Kamala. She's you know that. She's a Marxist. Her father was a Marxist before her. So she was brought up in the family tradition. And she really is, and this country is not ready for a Marxist. We don't want a Marxist as a president. And she destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California. And we're not going to let it destroy our country. I'll tell you, it's not going to happen. So, but just to finish, so for some reason she doesn't want to talk to anybody. So she's either not the smartest light in the ceiling. I'm trying to be nice here. I want to be. They say, be nice, sir, be nice. It's hard to be nice when somebody is destroying your country and wants to destroy your country. It's hard to be like nice. But she is, she was a terrible vice president. She was a terrible border czar, worst in history probably, not just in this country. But the border, millions and millions of people, I say 20 million plus, have poured through the border during their term. I had the safest border in the history of our country. They have the most unsafe border in the history of the world. And they're coming through, and many of them are from prisons and jails. There's a slight difference, as you know, prisons and jails. Many are from mental institutions and insane asylums, and many are terrorists, and they're pouring into our country at a level. I don't know if you saw the news today, Tulsi. They had a group of, a lot of them, Venezuelan people with lots of machine guns taking over a building someplace. I'm looking, I'm saying, where is that? They went in and they took over a building. This is just the beginning. They're taking their criminals from all over the world, not just South America, not just Venezuela, which you've been reading about, all over the world. They're taking their criminals and they're dumping them into the United States. Kamala is allowing it to happen. And they actually want to give them papers. They want to make them citizens, and they want to give them your Social Security. They want to give them your Medicare. And your Social Security will collapse under her. I'm the one that's going to protect the Social Security. But they're coming. I will totally protect, as I did for 4 years. And there was no age increase. There was no anything. We're going to protect. You know, they destroy you with inflation, and then they want to destroy your Social Security. So it's not going to happen. But this is going to be the most important election in the history of our country. So I just want to say that it's an honor to be with you tonight. It's a forum that's very different because I have no idea who the hell is broadcasting it. But all we'll do is we'll talk because we're friends. I love this state. I gave them Marinette. We gave them a very big, you know, Tulsi, we have a ship contract. And as you know, we gave Marinette yards, but we gave them a tremendous contract. They wanted it all over the country. I said, we're going to get it for Wisconsin, and it's a big one. And they're doing a great job, I understand. So we got that. And we're going to have a good time tonight. So let's go.
Mr. President, you talked about immigration. We actually have Amber here who's quite concerned about that, and she's got a question for you.
Mr. President, hello. My name is Amber, and I'm from Cameron, Wisconsin. I have 3 beautiful children, and I'm torn on who to support. My youngest daughter is here tonight. My oldest son is 18, and he just started trade school this week. Very proud of him. My concern is that illegal immigration is threatening opportunities for my children. I worry that it's taking away jobs from Americans. I'm wondering, what will you do about that?
All right, well, it's great. I think I'll stand up and... Do you mind if I turn around? Thank you, Amber, very much. And you're right. I'll tell you, we have the people that I'm talking about. They're pouring in at levels never seen before. They're coming in by millions and millions, and a lot of them are taking the jobs for the black population, the Hispanic population, and unions are going to be very badly affected because, and I was talking to some of the union heads who I actually do get along with, but they're very concerned about it because the jobs that are, the people that are coming in are just taken, and it's going to start with the black population. African Americans are losing their jobs, and I don't know if you heard the latest statistic that of the jobs that these people created, which is very little, every single job was taken, about 107% was taken by illegal immigrants. There's been no job creation from them. The jobs were filled by illegal immigrants. With all of that being said, I want to give you a very positive answer. We're going to win this election. We're going to turn this country around. We're going to become an unbelievable growth country. And your boy is going to have the greatest job. And you want to have a lot of choice with jobs. You know, you want them to go up and they get up and they, it's hard to believe I have that with the way I get treated. But I look forward to every day because we're going to make America great again. So I really do. I look forward to it.
That's right.
But we're going to create a lot of jobs. We're going to create. Does he want to stay here, or does he want to go to a different state or anything? Yeah, someplace in the Midwest. But this is a good place to stay, right? Wisconsin. So we'll be creating tremendous jobs for our country, and we're also turning away. You know, we're going to be closing the border, really closing it. By the way, did you see? So Kamala was for defunding the police. She was for open borders. She was for everything that you're not against. I could go through 14 different. She's changed on every single one of them. In fact, I think we should see the man in the red hat and the beautiful woman in the red hat says, "Make America Great Again." Perhaps we should give Kamala a "Make America Great Again" hat, right? But the problem is, that's not her belief. Her belief is open borders. Her belief is getting rid of Social Security. Her belief is doing all of these plans, like for health insurance, where you have one big government-run mess. And if you have private plans, a lot of the people in this room have private plans. They're incredible plans. They worked hard to get those plans, and that's what they want. But with her, she wants to have, it's really a communist type of government. And I just saw her, Tulsi, she was sitting behind a desk doing this interview, And I said, Dana Bash, you could make yourself big tonight. All you have to do is be fair. I haven't seen the questions, but they gave out a sample. In fact, she's going to be on later on tonight with a taped. It was a taped. We're doing it live. Why are we doing it live and she's doing it taped? But
that's right. He's real.
But she was sitting behind that desk, this massive desk, and she didn't look like a leader to me, I'll be honest. I don't see her negotiating with President Xi of China. I don't see her with Kim Jong-un like we did with Kim Jong-un. So we're going to have to see what happens. I'll tell you what, November 5th is going to be the most important day in the history of this country. Go big.
Mr. President, there are a lot of people who want to feel hopeful about our future. I want to introduce you to Luke, who is one of those people.
Hi.
Hello, Mr. President.
Good-looking guy.
Thank you. My name is Luke Pulaski, and I'm a junior here at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. I'll be voting for the first time in November, and I'm researching each candidate, and I have two questions for you. First, as I've been living on my own and buying my own gas and groceries, I have noticed that everything has become more expensive. For me personally, I try to eat healthy and stay lean. A pound of meat has gone from $4 to almost $7. I also would like to buy a home someday, but that seems just impossible now. What's your plan to make life more affordable and bring down inflation for someone like me?
Very good, thank you. Good. It's probably the question I get most. You know, they say you're going to vote with your stomach. I don't know if you've heard it, but it's a little bit true. And groceries, food has gone up at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We've never seen anything like it, 50, 60, 70%. You take a look at bacon and some of these products, and some people don't eat bacon anymore. And we are going to get the energy prices down. When we get energy down, you know, this was caused by their horrible energy wind. They want wind all over the place. But when it doesn't blow, we have a little problem. This was caused by energy. This was really caused by energy and also their unbelievable spending. They're spending us out of wealth, actually. They're taking our wealth away. But it was caused by energy. And what they've done is they started cutting way back. We were in third place. When I left, we were by far in first place, beating Russia, beating Saudi Arabia. And we were going to dominate to a level that we've never seen before. And then we had a bad election. I'll be very nice. I'm supposed to be nice when I talk about the election, because everybody's afraid to talk about, oh, please, sir, don't talk about the election, please. You know, if you can't talk about a bad election, you really don't have a democracy if you think about it, right? But what they did, Tulsi, is they took back the oil production. The oil started going crazy. That started the inflation. Then they went back. They said, go back to where Trump was. The problem is that we would have been 3 times that level right now. We would have been so dominant over Russia and Saudi Arabia. Look, Saudi Arabia, Russia, a lot of oil. We would have had more. You know, we had something in Alaska, Anwar, that I created. I mean, Ronald Reagan wanted it. You remember? Ronald Reagan wanted it. They all wanted it. And I got it approved. Nobody was able to get it approved. I got it approved. And the first week in office, they turned it back. They said, no, it's the biggest site possibly in the world. Could be bigger than Saudi Arabia. Well, we're going to start that up. We're going to become the energy capital of the world. We're going to pay down our debt, and we're going to reduce your taxes still further. And your groceries are going to come tumbling down, and your interest rates are going to be tumbling down. And then you're going to go out, you're going to buy a beautiful house, okay? You're going to buy a beautiful house. That's called the American dream. The American dream. Thank you.
Mr. President, I want to ask you a question about national security, but first I think it's important to point out what Luke is talking about: the cost of groceries, the cost of gas, the cost of housing, mortgages, rent, everything has gone up. Kamala Harris's plan that she has announced is government price controls. And I think it's important to touch on, you just laid out your plan. What's going to happen if Kamala Harris institutes price controls?
So that's a communist plan. It's never worked. And it's been tried by others. Believe it or not, Richard Nixon tried it. A lot of people tried it. It's been tried many times, and it always leads to the same failure. Tremendous inflation, lack of product. You don't have anything. The stores are not stocked. It has never worked. It's called control. They want control. And, it's been so often. And everybody that comes in, they say it sort of sounds great. We're going to go price control. Actually, when she announced it, she got absolutely slaughtered by even Democrats because it doesn't work. It's a known loser. So now she doesn't talk about it. Do you notice she doesn't talk about climate change anymore? She's not talking about it. You know why? Because people don't want to hear it. They want to live a good life. They want to live a life. They don't want to stop your industry with climate change. They used to call it different things, global warming. Remember, that wasn't working because it was getting a little bit cooler. So they said, what are we going to do? We'll call it global cooling. No. So they came up with the words climate change because that takes care of everything. Climate change. The climate's changing, but according to them, we're all going to be gone in about, what do we have, 3 years left? They had 12 years, remember? So in about 3 years, let me tell you, we do have a problem, though. It's climate change, but a different kind of climate change. It's called nuclear global warming. We can say that's global warming. And if we don't have a smart president, you have 5 nations now with pretty massive nuclear power. Some have very massive, including us and Russia. China's behind, way behind, but within 4 or 5 years, they'll catch up. And we don't want them to catch up. Look, the biggest problem, in my opinion, the biggest problem our country has, the biggest problem the world has, is nuclear weapons. They are a destructive force, the likes of which nobody has ever seen before. And we have to make sure they're never used. We have to make sure it's not going to happen.
You're exactly right. You brought up Ronald Reagan already. Ronald Reagan famously said, a nuclear war can never be won and should never be fought. And I think it's interesting you talked about climate change, Mr. President. The Democrats and Kamala Harris, they were quick to talk about how climate change is an existential threat. But what they're not talking about is the existential threat of nuclear war and World War III, which is exactly where we sit today because of the warmongers and their puppets, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And they don't want to talk about it because the consequence of where they have taken all of us as the American people and the world is economic hardship around the world, a destruction of our economic well-being, and an annihilation of humanity, our families, our kids, our communities around the world. There was a recent poll that YouGov did that pointed out over 60% of Americans feel that World War III and nuclear war is going to happen within 5 to 10 years. And when I heard that, I felt so sad because they're at a point where they feel like this outcome, the annihilation of the world, is inevitable. So I wanted to ask you about this because it's important that people understand what kind of leadership you bring, what you will do to stop this slide towards nuclear war and World War III so that we can feel hopeful again.
Well, thank you. So Viktor Orban, a very strong leader from Hungary, Prime Minister of Hungary, they asked him recently about what's the problem in the world. A few years ago, during my time, we didn't have Israel being attacked. We didn't have Russia attacking Ukraine. And they asked him, why is it so bad now? The Middle East is on fire. So many places are on fire, and there are plenty places that could very well and very quickly catch on. What's the problem? He said, you have to bring Trump back as president of the United States. You will have no problem. He single-handedly kept things, and it's true. And I could do it with telephone calls by being smart. But literally, he said, you have to bring Trump back. Now, he used a term I wouldn't use. He said everybody was afraid of Trump. You know who was afraid of Trump? They said China was afraid of Trump. Russia was afraid of Trump. They were all, and I don't want to say that. I will say this. They respected me and they respected our nation. They don't respect our nation anymore. They don't respect our nation anymore. Think of it. What would the world be like if Russia didn't do what they did, and they would have never done it? I used to speak to Putin about it. I had a very good relationship. No chance. You know what happened, I think, Afghanistan, when he saw the horrible leadership that we displayed in Afghanistan. I think he said, wow, this is a time to go in, because I wasn't there. He would have never done it if I was president, and Israel would have never been attacked. Think of it. What would this world be like? You wouldn't have had that disaster. And it wasn't leaving Afghanistan. And they should have kept Bagram. That's the big air base. It's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. They didn't keep it. You know who occupies it now, Tulsi? China occupies it. So we have, if you have the right president, and we don't right now, do we even have a president? He just came in. Think of it. He just came in from wherever the hell he went. You know, there was a coup. He just didn't know it yet. But there was a coup. How about that? He got 14. I'm not a fan of his. He was the worst president. But,
You're not?
But think of this. He got 14 million votes. She was the first one to leave, you know. Kamala was the first one to quit. She never made it to the first state in the primaries, which was Iowa. Never even came close. Other people did, but she never even came close. And all of a sudden, she was picked. And she's now running for president. And look, it just started, really. It just really started. The polls have us up here. We're up in this state. We're up in states, but it's close. It's close. It's close. And, you know, they cheat like hell, so we don't want to have it too close. But we have, because we have to win this. We're not going to have a country. But with him, I was so far up. We had a thing called, how did he do in the debate? Did you think he did well? Not too good? No, they wanted to have a debate. I said, okay, it's a little bit early, isn't it? I was trying to talk them out. I said, well, it's a little early for a debate, right? And they said, well, I think we'd like to do it. And that was not a good debate for them. That was not a good debate. So that was the beginning of the end for him. And they started looking. But they picked a woman that had absolutely no votes. She got no votes. And now she's running. So when you say threat to democracy, they are a threat to democracy. I'm not a threat to democracy. I'm not a threat. Thank you.
Mr. President, crime and the rise of crime is on the minds of a lot of people. I want to call on Danielle here, who has a question for you.
Hi, Danielle. Well, you need, and you get a lot of those questions from Minnesota. But you get a lot of those questions because Minnesota, I mean, they picked this guy. He is weird. Right? He's weird. I'm not weird. He's weird. No, he's a weird guy. Weird dude. You know, see, they come up with sound bites. They always have sound bites. And one of the things is that JD and I are weird. That guy is so straight. JD is he's doing a great job. Smart. Top student. Great guy. And he's not weird, and I'm not weird. I mean, we're a lot of things. We're not weird, I will tell you. But that guy is weird, don't you think? You know, he signed for, and this is, who would think that this is even happening in our country with men playing in women's sports and all of this? But he has it at a level that nobody can believe. A bill that every boy's bathroom will have tampons, okay? Hence his name, Tampon Tim. But think of it. Think of it. And you know, on the question of abortion, he is the one. Abortion in the 9th month. And if the baby in Minnesota, and I'd love to win Minnesota because those people aren't digging this guy. They're not digging this guy. But think of this. 6 states, Minnesota's one of them. If the baby is born, you're allowed to execute the baby after, think of that, after birth in Minnesota. You're allowed to execute. And you remember the former governor, not the current governor, who's terrific, Len Youngkin. We're going to win maybe Virginia. We could do that. But the former governor, and he said, you sit the mother down and the father down, you sit them down and you talk, and the baby is born and you make a decision what to do. He meant, do you execute the baby after birth? And according to what they have passed and legislation, in Minnesota, they're allowed to execute the baby after birth. And this guy is a participant. And that's why she picked him, because she is, in fact, a Marxist/communist. Remember, I'd say all the time, our country will never be socialist, right? We will not have a socialist. Well, I was right. We skipped socialism. We went to communism. This woman has to be stopped.
Mr. President, we have time for one final question. I don't know if we can get a mic to Bernardo. He's got an important question, given very soon we will be honoring the anniversary of September 11th and all of the lives that were lost on that tragic day and that tragic attack where we were attacked by radical Islamist terrorists. And Bernardo wanted to share his thoughts and had a question for you on this.
Thank you.
Mr. President, my name is Bernardo. I'm a voter here in Wisconsin, live in the wonderful La Crosse County here, and I'm also a father of 8. I have 7 here with me. And it's the anniversary of 9/11 is coming up. I'm concerned that we're more vulnerable now than ever. And we have a Democrat nominee who doesn't even want to say the words, says we shouldn't say the words, radical Islamic terror. How are we going to protect America from a terrorist attack?
First of all, it's a great question. And, you know, we have radical Islamists pouring into our country along with everybody else right now. They're coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We kept them out. We had 1 year where Border Patrol put down, it was, I believe, 2019, where they, and I don't believe this, I don't believe it's right, but I'll take it. They said 0 came in 20, that was my term, 0. Now we have thousands. I'd like to say that was true. It's probably not, because I can't imagine that. But we were very tough on that. Now they have thousands and thousands coming in, along with the prisoners and along with the crime. And remember, a lot of these countries like Venezuela, their crime is way down because they've moved their criminals into our country. It's not even believable. But your question on Islamists and all of the jihad and all of the things that they talk about, they have to respect your country. They have to respect your leader. You know, I had no radical Islam crime for 4 years, and I didn't want to talk about it. I talked about it after, but I didn't want to talk about it during. I don't want to say like, I had absolutely, and the next day you get hit. But we had none, 4 years of it, because they respected your president, they respected your country, and we have to bring back that level of respect, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And we're not letting the wrong people into our country. Okay, thank you very much. Great question.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know you have run out of time here, but thank you for having this conversation with the people of Wisconsin and people across the country who are watching and concerned about these very same issues. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you
everyone,
much.
for being here.
Thank you, everybody. Vote. Vote. Thank you, everybody, very much.
Short on your dough, you can stay there, and I'm sure you will find many ways to have a good time. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. 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 They have everything for your men to enjoy. You can hang out with all the boys. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. You can get yourself clean. You can have a good meal. You can do whatever you feel. Young man, I was once in your shoes. I said I was down and out with the blues. I felt no man cared if I were alive. I felt the whole world was so tight.
So we are back. I mean, President Trump did a phenomenal job, Megan, giving these remarks in this community of La Crosse, Wisconsin. He touched upon immigration and the economy, to crime, to how he would secure global peace and prosperity. It was a fantastic forum, different type of thing than you're usually seeing from President Trump, but I love the audience interaction, and I thought this audience in particular really got a kick out of it.
Oh yeah, this audience is jumping. The energy in here was just insane, and they were so excited to see President Trump. And I'm really happy you hit on the topic of IVF, because I know personally a lot of people who have been concerned about that issue, and I'm glad that he addressed it tonight.
Definitely. So as we wrap up this broadcast, we want to again thank all of our fans and audience for sticking with us throughout the day. We have a few more words from our sponsors, beginning with Birch Gold. In these crazy times, there's peace of mind and security. Security for our country, security for our leaders, and security for our families. But think about this. If you have all your eggs in one basket, you are not financially secure. Gold and silver are excellent ways to diversify your savings. They're a hedge against inflation. And through my friends at the Birch Gold Group, you can own physical gold and silver in a tax shelter retirement account. This is one thing you can do today to secure your family savings. You can do so by texting the word Trump, T-R-U-M-P, to 989898 and receive a free info kit on gold. Plus, in August, for 2 more days, on any purchase you make, Birch Gold is giving away free Trump silver coins. This brand new one-of-a-kind silver coin features Trump boldly raising his fist in the moments after the attempt on his life. So it's incredible, incredible piece of history, a celebration of a leader that we just saw dedicated to our security, preserved in the security of a precious metal coin. So in order to get your free Trump silver coin, text Trump to 989898 today. That is T-R-U-M-P to the number 989898.
Absolutely. And President Trump, during the town hall, touched on the subject of children. He said we want to make babies in America, and we have to protect our children too. So listen to this. The best-selling kids guide to President Trump is available for free for viewers. Just pay shipping and handling with this special promotion. The guide has been updated for 2024 and explains Trump's vision for future of America to kids, including his policies on immigration. It's not surprising to learn that crime and drugs are getting worse and worse in America, and it's under siege by illegal immigrants pouring in from the southern border, thanks to Biden's immigration policies that are overwhelming our cities and endangering Americans. Just look at what happened last week at UGA when Laken Riley was murdered by a Jose Antonio Ibarra, an illegal immigrant who came in from Venezuela. As a result, more and more Americans are agreeing with Trump's policies on immigration, and as future voters, our kids need to understand that the ramifications of these loose immigration policies are detrimental. The Kids Guide to President Trump helps them understand this, along with his vision for America following his re-election. So go to freetrumpbook.com, that's freetrumpbook.com today to get your free kids Trump book. Just pay shipping and handling. I think that's great.
Absolutely. We love those free Trump books. Do you want to just help? All right. So another organization that we love is Tax Network USA. Are you struggling with back taxes or unfiled returns? The IRS is escalating collections, adding 20,000 new agents and sending over 5 million collection letters to kick off this year. In these challenging times, your best defense is Tax Network USA. Don't let the IRS take advantage of you. With over 14 years of experience under their wing, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in back taxes. No matter the size of your tax issue, their expertise is your advantage. They specialize in negotiating with the IRS, aiming to significantly reduce your debt. Tax Network USA doesn't just negotiate, they also protect your assets from IRS seizures and manage your yearly returns for ongoing compliance. Importantly, they're licensed in all 50 states and can help you out with all state tax issues, regardless of where you live. The clock is ticking. Don't wait as the IRS steps up its game. Seize control of your financial future now. Contact Tax Network USA for immediate relief and expert guidance at their number 1-800-357-1415 or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. Don't let taxes overpower you. Turn to Tax Network USA and find your path to financial peace of mind today.
We care about financial fitness and health, and we also care about your physical fitness and health, so make sure you listen to this. America, listen up. The world is getting more unpredictable by the day. We've got assassination attempts, rumors of civil war, an unstable stock market, and now the looming threat of the bird flu is on everyone's mind. Did you know that there's a bird flu summit coming in October? It's eerily similar of Event 201 that foreshadowed the COVID-19 pandemic. And listen to this. The first topic on the agenda is called mass fatality management planning. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what will. But here's the good news. You don't have to be scared if you're prepared. The Wellness Company created the Contagion Emergency Kit. And every home in America should have at least one of these kits. They're packed with life-saving meds like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics like a Z-Pack, and it's all backed by experts like Dr. Peter McCullough. Imagine this, no more frantic searches for a doctor, no more emergency waiting rooms. Just a few clicks and the kit is delivered right to your door. You have it all at your house. In times like these, having your Contagion Emergency Kit is not just a luxury, it's actually a necessity. Protect your family by preparing right now. Go to twc.health/RSBN and grab your Contagion Emergency Kit today. That's twc.health/RSBN and use the code RSBN to save you $45 off your order at checkout. Kits are only available in the USA, by the way.
So we talk about wellness. Another way to get well is your sleep wellness. And the best way to get the best comforting mattresses is through our friends at the MyPillow Company. I want to let you know that our friends at MyPillow are having a Labor Day sale on all their mattresses. So all their mattresses now, which are of course USA made, homegrown, is up to 50% off plus an additional $100 off for this amazing sale for Labor Day. So you can save up to 50% off plus an additional $100 off. So you can get mattresses as low as $439.99 with our promo code over here, RSBN. That's a huge 40% value that you'll be getting out of these mattresses. So head on over to the MyPillow organization for their Labor Day sale. And lastly, we want to thank, again, everyone at our network. We're going to give a shout out to the camera guys, Will, Trent, obviously Megan, you did a fantastic job back at the studio, Bobby, Grace, everybody on the RSBN network. This is really a family, and we really appreciate you, the viewer. You're the most important part of this family. I wanted to also mention that RSBN, from now until November 5th, will be your 2024 election headquarters. We are working so hard to provide you with the best wall-to-wall coverage. No matter where President Trump is, we will be. And even you'll see double headers as we did today, as an example of today. So you won't want to miss anything, all things President Trump in the coming weeks. Make sure to like and share this broadcast while you're at it, and subscribe to our channel and get alerts when we're live. Follow us on any social media platform at RSBN Network. That's RSBN Network, one N, RSBN Network. And if you want our weekly updates sent to your inbox, sign up for our newsletter at rsbnnetwork.com//newsletter. Lastly, if you'd like our content and want to give us a bonus, please consider donating at rsbnetwork.com. So it's rsbnetwork.com/donate. We're working hard to bring you the news you will not get anywhere else. We appreciate even the smallest amount. Again, that's rsbnetwork.com. Text RSBN as well to 801-801 to support us with a little contribution. We thank you all so much for your continued support, for watching us all throughout today on our daily doubleheader. We are here with President Trump, and there's going to be a lot of events ahead in the coming 60 plus days between now and election. So we're in crunch time, and we're so excited to bring you all the best live from the ground, live from the scene of where all the action is happening. On that note, thank you all. Megan, everyone, it's a fantastic day. We're going to toss back to the studio where Bobby will give a final word, and we appreciate all your audience and viewership today. God bless you all.
And thank you, Paul and Megan. Live in La Crosse, Wisconsin. We'd like to also thank our sponsor, American Finance. A lot of us are struggling to keep up with everyday bills, whether that's food, gas, and even that stingy power bill. If you own a home, I want you to call my friends over at American Financing. Now, American Financing is saving their customers an average of $854 per month by tapping into their home's equity and wiping out the high-interest credit card debt. $854 a month is like a $10,000 raise. And why is that? Because credit card interest is absolutely insane. These rates are crazy, and most of us are still carrying a balance from month to month. And if you're only paying the minimum every month, it will take you years to pay this off. There are no upfront fees to get started, so call American Financing today. And if you call today, you may not have to make the next month's mortgage payments in such a short period of time. So American Financing, 888-402-0299. That is 888-402-0299. Save an average of $854 per month. And AmericanFinancing.net/RSBN. And thank you so much for tuning in for our doubleheader tonight. There were remarks in Pottersville, Michigan, a town hall in La Crosse, Wisconsin. President Trump clearly stating the Agenda 47, the 20 promises he has made to America that has been enshrined and accepted by the Republican National Committee. Him making his points very clear regarding IVF and abortion, a states' rights issue according to President Trump, and someone who wants to have many children, many more American children being born with American families and to American families. Very different from what we saw at the DNC with free abortion and vasectomy clinics being right outside of the United Center in Chicago. So a stark contrast between President Trump and he mentions then Governor Northam of Virginia, who wanted infanticide. That seems to be where the far Democrat left is going. Of course, former Democrat Tulsi Gabbard, now independent, moderating the town hall tonight, and an exciting crowd of over 10,000 in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Tomorrow we have another doubleheader with a rally in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and then President Trump will be giving an evening primetime speech to the Moms for Liberty conference in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. We hope that you are able to join us tomorrow. We want to thank Mike Fortin, who is in Michigan, of course, Paul Ingracia and Megan Kohler in Wisconsin, our wonderful directors, producers, and camera crew out working today, the long broadcast, which is always very fun to bring a doubleheader to you, the American Patriots at home. For RSBN, I'm Bobby McNeely. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Good night and God bless.
You ask and we listen. We're finally bringing the most requested offer ever. Get the queen size premium MyPillow, now only $19.98. MyPillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. It helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. Get our 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets only $25. Our brand new mattress topper as low as $69.98. Get our famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25 and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen-size MyPillow, only $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay, order today. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk. Don't forget to catch the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show right here on RSBN. That's right, RSBN. Now that's Right Side Broadcasting Network. Okay? See y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Hi folks, this is RSBN founder and CEO Joe Seals here. In these crazy times, there is peace of mind and security. Security for our country, security for our leaders, and security for our families. But think about this. If you have all your eggs in one basket, you are not financially secure. Gold and silver are an excellent way to diversify your savings. They're a hedge against inflation. And through my friends at the Birch Gold Group, you can own physical gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. There's one thing you can do today to secure your family's savings. Just text the word Trump to 989898 and receive a free info kit on gold. Plus, in August only, on any purchase you make, Birch Gold is giving away free Trump silver coins. This brand new one-of-a-kind silver coin features Trump boldly raising his fist in the moments after the attempt on his life. You don't want to miss your chance to own this special piece of history, a celebration of a leader dedicated to our security preserved in the security of a precious metals coin. So secure your savings today and get your free Trump silver coins. Text Trump to 989898 today. That's Trump to the number 989898.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, TPUSA, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.